Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Friday weekly Ask Me Any Stock session. If you guys can see and hear me, just type a GM for good morning, guys. Let me know if this is working. I think some of you have already joined us and you're live with us. Type a GM for good morning before we get started today. AMAS US stocks, right? US stocks today, right? Let's see who is here today. Hi, good morning. We have hi ABC. Good morning as well. Okay, let's wait for a few more people to join us. All right, I think today we have about like 40 over people. Good morning. We have John as well. Good morning as well. Hi, John. Good morning. Good morning as well, Manfred. Hi, Eugene. Good morning. Morning. All right. Okay, good. So welcome, guys. Welcome to the Ask Me Any Stock session. Every Friday we go live. And that's where we cover the stock that you guys are asking about, right? So last Friday I had something on, so I couldn't join. But today I'm back, right? I'm back, and it is back to the US market. So if you are kind of like scrolling through YouTube and Facebook, and you are kind of thinking to buy any US stocks, or you're holding some US stocks, you have no idea what to do, whether to buy, to sell, to wait, to hold, well, you're in the right place, because today we'll be talking about the US market. All right. So very simple, right? What happens is that we do a quick market outlook. Like always, we do a quick market outlook. We'll cover the S&P 500 index to kind of like give you guys an idea of what has happened over the past few weeks, right? And what's some of the key levels for the entire market? Are we looking more bullish, or maybe even more bearish, whereby you might want to be careful. You want to take some profit near a key level somewhere, right? That's what we'll discover as well. Look at the markets, and then we'll dive into the stocks, the US stocks that you guys want a quick opinion on as well. So what you want to do is that later when you type the name of the US stocks, right, do give us some context on the US stock. So don't just type like Apple or Meta, right? But give us a bit of context, right? Are you looking to buy, to sell? What price do you get in last week, last month, last year? Now give us a bit of context so that when we pull out the stock, we analyze it live using the one good trend strategy. We have it can be a bit more personalized lah. Make sense? All right. So if we have never met before, guys, my name is Choy Choy, top tier advisor, trader in Philip Securities, and I've been doing this for more than 15 years now, focusing on mainly stocks, Singapore stocks, US stocks, a little bit of Hong Kong stocks as well, and that's my forte. And I use what I call the one good trend strategy, all right, whereby we are riding stocks that are aligned with the trend. If we are buying, it's an uptrend, and we think about positioning ourselves at hot zones that can increase the probability of winning, of course. And we look for what we call confirmations in our particular directions. All right. So we talk more about the 1GD Pro indicator later. We do have time to cover the whole strategy today, but if you want to find out a bit more about the entire strategy, you can attend a free webinar. We don't have any in December. Maybe in January we have one. Team can just place the link in the chat so you can attend a free webinar to find out more. But today will be just pump, right? We just go through your US stocks very quickly, and there'll be a bonus stock at the end as well. So each of us will share one bonus stock. So there'll be three bonus stocks, right? Three bonus stocks. So I need to leave a little bit earlier, right? Maybe about like 12:15 p.m. So probably I'll share my bonus stock before I make my move. I have a flight to catch later in the afternoon, so I might have to rush off. Apologies for that, but my team will end off and share their bonus stocks as they lead the end of the session today. All right, cool. Okay, let me go ahead to introduce my team members. So I have with me Bervin, right? Bervin, who has been with me for more than 5 years now, one of the top brokers under me in Philip Securities, assisting our clients in Philip Securities, assisting our group coaching sessions, our graduates, our one-on-one sessions, our mentees, and Bervin also assisting our portfolio manager with our managed account business as well, right? And Bervin is also what we call a chartered financial analyst, CFA. So he's an expert in not just technicals, but also fundamental as well. All right. And I do consult him a little bit on the fundamentals of certain stock, whereby he's kind of like the go-to person. All right. So let me pass on the mic to Bervin, maybe to share a bit on himself today. Bervin, yours?
All right, thanks Joey for the introduction. Hi guys, welcome back to our weekly AMAS session. For those of you first time joining us, welcome. So we actually go live every Friday. I think rather impressive if you think back. We have started to go live since the start of this year, every Friday non-stop. All right, so as we head into the last month, last month of 2025, I think it's time to look back a little bit. What are the winners, what are the losers in the year. But I think coming forward, I think market is still rather exciting. I think heading into December, a lot of uncertainty around the rate cut so far. But I think still a lot of opportunities present in the market. So I think if today you guys have any stocks that, in your watch list or anything like that, please feel free to, leave it in the chat so we can actually give you a quick opinion as well. But do help us a little bit out here. So we are actually, not going to talk about fundamentals today or anything like that. We are going to be using Joey's 1GT Pro indicator to actually give you a quick opinion on where, we think the stock could potentially be heading as well. So give us a little bit of context. If you have bought already, haven't buy yet, thinking of averaging up, thinking of averaging down, what is our view on that? Just leave it in the chat. A little bit of context will be helpful. All right, so I think without further ado, I'll pass the time back to Joey to introduce our next team member. Joey.
All right, thank you so much. So guys, would it be okay if you have us to like and to share as well? I think we're live on YouTube as well as on Facebook. So to us, help us to like and share. And of course, if you have not yet subscribed or followed the channel or our Facebook page, make sure you follow and subscribe so that when we go live in the future, you will be alerted as well. So hit the like and share button, show some love, right? I mean, we just want to make sure that you get value. So hope you can help us out over here, all right? Like and share, all right? We can reach out to more people, can join us as well today, all right? Okay, next. Let me go ahead to introduce another of my team member, Z, all right, who has been with me for more than 5 years now, also one of the top brokers under me in Philip Securities and assisting our team's group coaching, one-on-one coaching with our mentees, and also our team's portfolio manager with our portfolio management business as well. All right, so Z is an expert in anything to do with charts. She's a CMT, Chartered Market Technician, all right, basically an expert in charting, technical analysis, candlestick patterns, whatever, right? She is the expert. Of course, she's very well versed in the entire one good trend strategy as well, right? So Z, maybe I just pass on the mic to you to share a bit on yourself.
All right, thanks, Joey. Hi, everyone. My name is Z. So yeah, like what Joey has mentioned, just a big fan of charts and trends, basically like looking at charts and things like that. And what I really also feel for Joey's 1GT Pro indicator is that because it aligns very much with my philosophy whereby, I want to keep things simple, right? To break things down as easy as possible. Don't need to overcomplicate things. And, it is a very repeatable step-by-step process whereby you can actually apply it on your own as well, right? So it's nothing complicated. It's not hard. With just a click of a button, you can turn on the signal to have a very quick opinion whether to buy or to sell, right? So that helps you in terms of making decisions already, right, much quicker. So that is something that you will see us do later on within the 1 hours to maybe 1.5 hours, right? So yeah, I mean, I hope that along the way you guys also get as much value as possible, and we'll try to cover as many stocks as possible as usual. But if you cannot cover your stocks, please forgive us, right? You try to come again for the next week session or the following week session, and we'll try to cover your stocks as well. Okay, so without further ado, I'll pass the time back over to Joey to actually kickstart today's session.
All right, thank you so much, Z. All right, so let's get started, right? Just a quick disclaimer as usual, guys. Today's session is just for education purposes only, right? So please do your own due diligence, your own homework, all right? We're just showing you what we're using, the tools, the framework, the strategy, all right? But you kind of decide on your own decisions whether to buy or sell, right? We're not asking to buy or sell anything or not to buy or not to sell, right? We're just showing you the process. Cool. All right. So let's get started. Let me go to talk about the markets right now, like what we do every Friday. And this is what we call the S&P 500 index. Let me just type an M for markets, guys. If you guys want me to cover the markets very quickly, type an M for markets. Let me know. Okay, good morning. Hi, Vincent. All right, good morning. I think some of you are slowly joining us. Hi, Adrian. Good morning as well. Hi, Idorine as well. Good morning, morning. All right, very good. All right, so markets, very good. I mean, since a lot of you are asking about the markets, why not just do a very quick run through of what has happened in the S&P 500 index, or what has happened in the markets over the past few weeks. So you can see that I've put out the chart of the S&P 500 index, and we have this tool. In case you have not been following me for a while, I have this strategy called the One Good Trend strategy, which is the backbone of this indicator that I'm using right over here, called the One Good Trend Pro indicator. So you can see that I've turned on a few boxes right over here. Let's turn it off, and there we go. Empty, nothing. All right, and look at the chart. This is probably what most people are seeing. All right, a blank chart, an empty chart. Of course, you need the price, right? Nothing to see if there's a price, so you need the price. Okay, but this is what most people are seeing, right? But with the One Good Trend Pro indicator, whereby we can turn it on any asset classes, not just the market. I mean, it can be your US stock that you ask, and anything, all right? we get an opinion in seconds, all right, whether are there any bullish or bearish signals. So this is the market. Let's turn on the moving averages just to get an understanding of the trend of the market, right? In the longer term and in the short term. So you can see this is the S&P 500 index. I would say that we are generally in a longer term uptrend just by looking at the 100 days moving average line and the blue 200 days moving average line, right? So how do we tell whether is it uptrend or downtrend? Well, we have been in an uptrend, I would say, since July, August, when the red line went above the blue line and both of them started to point up, right? So we are pretty okay, I would say, for the entire S&P 500 index for the US market. We are safe, right? Longer term uptrends intact. We have been pushing very strongly since April, May, after Trump introduced tariffs. A very strong recovery right over here from 5,002 all the way to 6,800, right? Very strong recovery, right? Long-term trend is still up. Now let's dive into what we call the short-term trend, because the longer-term trend can be up, but the short-term trend can also come down. Does it make sense, Mark? All right, we could see, 1 week of weakness, 1 month, 2 months of weakness, right? In the short term, even though the longer term trend is up, right? So you can see that the green line gives us an indication of the short term trend. So look at the green line, right? The green line starts to go down. That was in like February, March, right? Before Trump introduced the tariff, it was actually going down, down. In April, turn up. That's where the short term trend turned up. And then we go up, flat a bit, up a bit, now a bit coming down, right? Let's take a look at the green line right now. I would say that the short-term trend in terms of the green line is starting to come down a little bit. So a bit of short-term weakness, some selling has indeed come back over the past 1 month. Now, let's go to get another confirmation in terms of the 1GT Pro indicators. Let's go to turn on the bullish and bearish signals. Let's take a look right over here. And there we go. So you can see that I'll not go too far, but previously in like February and March, we got 2 bearish signals. The green line turned down. And what happened, right? All the way down. We got a new bullish signal. So this bullish signal and the bearish signal just give us that added confirmation of, is it more upside or is it more downside? Along with the trend indicators, right? So if you get like the long-term trend is up, the short-term trend is up, and then the bullish signal also come out, then even better lah. Plus a few other confirmations that we seek for as well. We don't have time to cover all of that today. I mean, there's you can see quite a few other boxes, right? I don't want to turn on everything, might overwhelm you guys, but we seek out more confirmations for any particular trade setup. The more confirmations we have, the better it is. So we have what we call a 7-step checklist, like a 7-point checklist. So we want to have at least 4 out of 7, right? Not 1 or 2 lah, right? We want 4 or more, 4, 5, 6, 7, the best lah. Okay, 7 out of 7 is perfect, but don't always have 7 out of 7 one, right? Even 4 out of 7, good enough. All right, so that's what we're going to seek. That's what we call the confluence of different confirmations coming in to support that particular trade setup. Does it make sense, Mark? All right, so let's take a look at what has happened, right? So we got a bullish signal, all the way up. We got a bearish signal, you can see, rested for 1 week, a new bullish signal. There we go. Now, let's just zoom into over the past 2-3 weeks. Well, quite clearly, guys, you can see that we have 2 1GT bearish signals coming out. So it just means that, okay, so when you see a bearish signal, doesn't mean it's going to crash and it's going all the way down. It just means that indeed we're seeing some heavy selling coming back, right? So not 1 but 2 bearish signal. But let's just dive in to see what are some of the support levels that have came out, whereby thankfully we're still holding above it. All right, we're still holding above it, right? So 2 bearish signals came out. The green line also started to point down a little bit over the past 1 week. So let's talk about some of the news that have happened in the market. I mean, why are we seeing weakness? Well, I think those of you have been following the news. Well, essentially, 2 weeks back, 1 week back, there was talks about valuations of this AI technology sector becoming above valuations, right? So there's some concerns over valuations, whereby it might not be sustainable, all right? Whereby in terms of the profits, the revenue, the fundamentals of the company, it might not be able to achieve that kind of valuation, right? And there are talks about what we call rate cuts since many months back, all right? 4-5 months back, there were 2 rate cuts this year, so there could potentially be 1 more rate cut in December, just in a few weeks' time, right? So the market sold off because there was some improvement in terms of the economic data. So the Federal Reserve kind of mentioned that, oh, maybe there would not be a rate cut this December, maybe up to next year, right? And that's where the market sort of, but now they've changed their tune just last week, whereby there could potentially be a rate cut in December again, and that had kind of like sparked more positive sentiment in the market coming back. So I think it was a bit of a rate cut news, valuation concerns in the AI sector, and it's kind of like the narrative in the market right now. Right? But let's take a look at what is happening in terms of the charts, in terms of the support level. Well, I would say that right now, if I can draw this support level, I think that is a very key level for the market, right? The 6,550, 6,550. Look at this right up here, right? That was where we traded here, rebound. Same thing, we got a bearish signal in October, rebounded. I think that was where there was some trade tensions between US and China, right? We sold off, rebounded. Same thing last week, we traded around here, 6,005 to 6,550, rebounded again. So I think that is a very key level. So far, even though we got two bearish signals coming out for the market, yeah, it definitely looks a bit weaker, all right, like what we've seen previously, right? But at least the horizontal support that we've seen since September is holding, right? And that would be the 6,550. Maybe if you want to give a bit of allowance, I mean, you could just put it to 6,500, right? That would be what we call a psychological support level. I mean, that was pretty much where we were in August. Traded below it, it was a key resistance level. Look at it, came down, pam, we went above 6,500, and there we go, right? The rally actually started. So perhaps support has came back, resistance turns support at that 6,500 to that 6,550. So it's what we call a zone, all right? A zone right over here. That is where we are seeing some strong bargain hunting for the market. And indeed, it has happened over the past few days. In fact, just on like Monday, right, or on last Friday or this Monday as well, we saw a very strong rebound from this level all the way to that 6,900. So I think that's the range, 6,500 to 6,900. That is kind of like the range right now for the entire S&P 500 index. So I think that, there's a lot of, hidden strength in the market, even though sometimes we see some weakness, AI valuation concerns, and then we see the tech stocks selling down. But every time we hit to some of those support levels, right? In fact, later we look at some of the tech stocks, right? Or the stock that you guys are asking about, right? Whenever we hit to those support levels, that's where buyers start to come back, right? Especially if we get all these bullish signals coming back, buyers start to bargain hunt. They accumulate on dips. And when we see a rebound pump, it goes up very quickly. That's what we are seeing right now. Right? So overall, I think the market, we are not completely out of the woods because these two bearish signals are still showing. All right. Obviously, there's no new 1GT bullish signal yet. But let me tell you guys, right? If I don't know when it come out, but if we get a new 1GT bullish signal, pump like this, all right, and that is probably if we were to lift off the 6,900 or maybe the 7,000 level, these two resistance this way, we get a new bullish signal. The green line that is going down a bit start to turn up like this, like what we have seen over here. I think it's a different story, guys. I think that is where more upside momentum can come in fast. It might lead the next phase of upside as we begin 2026, right? January, February, March for the first quarter. It could be much, much stronger if we do get the bullish signal. So it hasn't come out yet, but we are monitoring very closely. If it comes out, obviously we'll know about it. We can set an alert. All right. If we get other confirmations like the green light also turning up, even better. All right. Plus some other confirmations we seek for as well. And also the long-term trend, as I said, the red and blue line, that one has been up since this July and August. So no problem. Long-term trend is okay. But now we just need more confirmations in terms of the short-term trend. And also another bullish signal just sealing in that, okay, we have turned more bullish. The selling is over. This whole AI valuation concern is over. The rate cut come in December. And they would cut rates by about 25 basis points, 0.25% as projected. That could be a catalyst as well. All right. So that is for the S&P 500 index, right? Bearish signals coming out, a bit of sell down, but we are still indeed holding above a very key support level. All right. So, well, I think it's still okay. All right. We see above the support, it still looks okay. All right. So that is the S&P 500 index. Now, let me go ahead to cover, let's just dive into what we call the stocks right now, the US stocks. So I'll just go into cover the stocks that you guys are asking about in the chat. So guys, would it be okay? Just type in the chat, the US stocks that you guys want covered. So give us a bit of context. So I haven't looked through the comments yet. So guys, just give me some time. I'll just pick one very quickly. But I can see that a lot of you are already typing in the US stocks that you want covered. So very good. Keep it up. And take note, guys. Thanks for giving us the context. I think some of you are typing in what price you bought, all right, and stuff, right? So maybe let me pick the first one, and that will be John Eng, right? John, Micron, MU, entered at 242 last week. Oh, very good. Thanks for giving us a bit of context, John. Entered at 242. So Micron, MICRON. Let's take a look. MU, Micron, one of the tech stocks, right? Well, let's take a look at Micron right over here. So you can see this is Micron, guys, okay? And entered at 242 last week. Now it's what? Oh, now it's 230. Okay, went down a bit. All right, sorry. Okay, never mind. Unfortunately, 1GT bearish signal appeared. What level should I look out for to stop loss? All right, so very good. John, maybe perhaps you have access to the same tool that I'm using. You're probably a graduate of mine. You saw that a 1GT bearish signal actually appeared before I even show it to you, so you probably have access to it. So good, huh? Okay, now let's take a look very quickly as to Micron. What should one be actually doing right now? Right, so very quickly, you can see that for Micron, well, the long-term trend is up. Okay, red above the blue, no issue. Previously, we got some bearish signals in March, in April, and then we went all the way down from like 102, go until 100, go about until $80. Then a new bullish signal come out. Right. So the point is this, guys, whenever you see a bearish signal, not one but two, then you don't need to rush to buy. You want to be a bit more cautious, because why? Bearish signal means it's a bit weak, right? Before you rush to go and get in, right? You want to be patient. You want to wait for the stock to show its hand. Does it make sense? Right? You want to wait for the bullish signal to appear, right? Plus other confirmation. So you can see when this bullish signal appear, the green line also started to turn up. There we go. We got two extra confirmations. All right, and there we go. The rally actually started, pump, all the way here, 58%. All right, and then the bearish signal come out. And then what happened? We went down for like 1, 2, 3 weeks. So get out, 58%, not enough, man. Take some profit, get out first. All right, wait for the stock to show its hand again. Right, and did it show its hand? Yes, pump, all the way up. How many percent over here, right? 90%, even more. 90% in 2 months, not 2 years, 2 months. All right, and then you see a bearish signal. So what? Now buy or not? Probably don't want to buy now, because we got a bearish signal already, right? 90%, you get out, take some profit, be happy, right? And that's what you want to do, right? You don't want to rush to get in, because we have indeed seen a bearish signal. But as I say, right, a bearish signal doesn't mean that we are going to hit all the way down, it's going to crash and stuff. No, I mean, it just means that there is indeed some heavy selling. Now, why? Because if I can turn on the One Good Trend Pro indicator in terms of this very powerful feature, you can see this is what we call the trailing support and resistance right over here. Because you can see, right, when these bullish signals actually appeared, we got this trailing support that popped up. So I just turn it on. Let me just show you right over here. You can see this green trailing support. Let's turn it off, on, off, on. All right, so there we go. This is the trailing support level. So what is the trailing support for? Well, essentially, it follows a stock as it moves up. It gives it the space to breathe. It accounts for the volatility of a stock. So as long as you're above it, you're fine. That is one good confirmation already. All right, so you can see since like 18 August, we came out, the trailing support popped up. It was around $110. And as Micron move up, the green line go up, long-term trend up. I got 3, 4, 5 confirmation. Not too bad, all right? You can see the trailing support also follow up, flat, follow. After 2 months, pump, we went below it, right? So from 110, follow until become 207. Does it make sense, right? When you follow, you give it the space. You can see, sometimes when you follow, we near it and we push away. We near it and we push away. So as long as you're above it, you're fine. We give you the space to be above. But you cannot be like, we give you the space, but you take all the space and still go below it. That means something not so good, a bit shaky. You see what I'm saying? All right. So it's the fact that we actually went below the trailing support level. So that's why the 1GT bearish signal came out. Doesn't mean it's going to crash, doesn't mean it's going to go all the way down, but it just means that compared to the last 2 months, a bit of selling coming back already, take some profit, nothing wrong, right? That is what it means. Okay. Now let's go to see what could be the support level right now after this bearish signal. So we got a bearish signal, right? We broke below the trailing support level. So by right, John, what happens is that you got in at 242. I think you probably got in around, okay, good, maybe somewhere, if I'm not wrong, around here, maybe about 2-3 weeks back, somewhere around here. Right? That was okay because at the point we wouldn't know a bearish signal will come out. The long-term trend was still up, the short-term trend was still up, right? But the fact is that when you get a bearish signal, well, it means that's a bit of weakness. Of course, it will be better if you have entered around here. That's the best, 120, 130, 140. Wow, confirm weak, make money, confirm get out, right? But if you got in a little bit higher, well, we got a bearish signal. It's good to reduce some exposure, right? It's good to reduce some exposure as per the plan, right? But let me just go into, maybe just dive in a bit more to see. I mean, since you're asking about what level should I stop loss or look to get out, well, even though we got a bearish signal coming out, you can see that if I can draw this support level for you quite clearly, this is what we call a psychological support level. Look at this right over here. I think the $200, all right, $200 would be what we call a psychological support. It was a resistance here in October, right? We went above it, all the way up to 250, 260, right? Same thing, we came back down, we got a bearish signal. But what happens was since like Monday, all right, since like Friday, Monday, well, quite a good candle coming out over here. This is what we call like a bullish spinning top, all right? And it happens right at that 200 level. We got what we call a long lower shadow, whereby we went below 200. I think the low was about 192, correct? 192, but buyers came back up and pushed it all the way up, and it closed at 207. So we went all the way to 192. We was actually below 200, so it was actually kind of like breaking the psychological support level. But what happens? Buyers came back and pushed it all the way back up to 200. So that's what we call a bullish candlestick, right? It's kind of like another confirmation that we seek as well, especially if it happens near a support level, near a trailing support, near a horizontal support, right? So it seems like this $200 would be a key support level for now, right? Because we got this bullish candlestick all the way to 260. All right. So now back to your question, John. I would say that, I mean, okay, thankfully, I mean, even though we got a bearish signal, as I say, it doesn't mean a bearish signal means it will crash. But if we see a bearish signal and then we break the 200, and then after 1 month, the green line still turning down like that, then you tell me you're still holding, then I'll say that you need to get out already. Makes sense, right? Because that's where we get a few other confirmations that it's really becoming bearish. Okay. But now we only got one confirmation because the green line still not pointing down, it's still flat, right? Still lucky for you, still okay, right? And we did, kind of rebound from the 200 psychological support level, so still okay, right? So I think it's good to have a plan, right? Essentially, I mean, of course, if you have got in earlier, I think it's good to take some profit, but now, of course, you've got in slightly higher. Well, even though we got a bearish signal, you can monitor for a few days, all right? Maybe up to next 1, 2, 3 weeks. I think these are very crucial. If you continue to stay above 200, 220, that's where I think it still looks okay. But just take note, if the 200 were to break down, we get another bearish signal, the green light also turned down, then you might really want to cut loss. You might really want to reduce exposure. You don't want to hold all the way down. Make sense? All right. So that will be for Micron. But for me now, I think for Micron, if I do not have a position, I'm looking to get in. Well, that is what I'm looking for, right? I think if we do see like a new bullish signal coming out, like what we saw over here in September, that led the 90% ready, right? If we see a new bullish signal coming out, I think that could happen, right? If we break the 260 level, right, and the green line, turning back up like this, a bullish signal coming back up, I think that would be where one could also take what we call a more aggressive entry for even more upside. Cool. All right. So that would be the very first stop for today. Micron Technology MU. Okay. Now let me pass on the mic to Bervin. I hope that's a bit, I think spend a bit of time, but let me pass on the mic to Bervin to cover the next US stock. Bervin, all yours.
All right, thanks, Joey. Very in-depth on Micron right there. Let me just see for the next stock. Let's go. Okay, hi, actually, good morning. KTOS bought at 88.85. Let me just see. Is it a good time to buy more or I should wait? Okay, great question there. Okay, so let's see. For KTOS, I think you are referring to Kratos Defense and Security Solutions. Okay, so right now, I think the longer term uptrend still looks pretty much quite intact. There are 100 days over the 200 days, still both of them still sloping up. But what do we see here? We actually saw that sellers have actually came in as prices tried to push higher, right? Not able to just break above that 110 level, the $110. level, it actually saw some profit taking actually come in. The weakness started to come in for about a week or so. That 20 days moving average, look at it right there, started to be not as steep, U-turn, and started to point down already. All right, started to point down already. So at this point, Yatri, would you think that the nearer term weakness could continue? All right, the nearer term weakness, could it continue as prices or as that 20 days moving average has started to point down? And so that's firstly not a good sign, It was previously trying to hold above, the $80 level. I see this right here. The buyers actually try to come in, a little bit of indecisiveness in the market. Buyers actually try to come in, push prices slightly higher again, before eventually breaking down on earnings day itself, earnings announcement day itself on the 5th of November. Right, prices actually broke down below the $80 support. Right, so the immediate support I would place just at that $60 level, So I think so far it looks like this $60 level is holding. Right, buyers coming in a little bit, trying to just test the $80 level in the last week or so. Right, so yesterday night US market wasn't trading, so this was on Wednesday. Just take note. So I'm not too sure if you are going to see some sellers coming in just under that $80 resistance, the immediate $80 resistance. Could sellers be coming in to once again take control and form lower highs? I mean, that is a possibility, I think, right now at this point as well. But I think if you're looking to actually accumulate some more, buy on the way down, we usually do not recommend doing that, because you don't want to throw good money after bad, right? You don't want to just it's because it's cheaper. Of course, if you compare to back then in April, the stock was trading at $30. Right now it's trading at $77. At its high was 110. It may look like a good discount, but there is currently weakness in the market, in the stock itself as well. So I think do not rush to get in just yet. So I would just turn on the 1GT signals here. Right, couple of 1GT bullish signals actually showing up. 1, 2, 3, 4 prior to that 1GT bearish signal. Right, so as the 1GT bearish signal came in, I think the prices actually came down very, very quickly over a period of like about 1.5 months as well. So I think you got in right under the $90 level, right? So maybe I would take a guess that you actually got in right there, right there, right around this area, right here, where you actually saw a little bit of the uptrend still intact. So I would have a trading plan. Instead, where if prices break below the $80 level, you may want to just get out first, because the trend would be U-turning as well. I think right now you can instead set up some alerts. I would say above the $80 level. All right, just set up some alerts, right click, just add alert. I think that is a level that you want to actually watch out for, because if there is sufficient strength, buyers actually come in, push prices above that $80 level, yes, I think then maybe you will see that 20 days moving average start to flatten out. I don't know whether we will start to point up or not. I think that it will be a little bit of a relief for you as well. But I think if prices continue to head lower, definitely I would say reduce some exposure here as well. Right, so the upside I think still represents towards the 110 level, right? The 110 level, that high that prices were previously testing. But I think in the immediate sense, you may see a little bit of a temporary resistance under that $95 as well. All right, so this is a level that you actually want to watch out for. All right, it's a level you want to watch out for. I think it is a temporary blockage towards that 110 level. So for your case currently, is it a good time to buy more? I think the answer is wait and see. I think it is a little bit too early to be rushing. There are no signs that the nearer term strength could be recovering, and we are in fact trading very, very close to a resistance. You do not want to actually get in close to a resistance, and we also have a 1GT bearish signal. All right, so I think right now, if I were to just turn on trailing resistance, just now Joey was talking about trailing support. It moves up as prices move up with the stock, right? The trailing support will just dynamically move up. But with a trailing resistance, you actually see that, right there, about $85. Right, about $85, that is where the trailing resistance is currently at. So if prices were to break above the 80, break above the 85, then I say, yeah, there is a new 1GT bullish signal that could appear. Hey, then you are back to where you started, because you don't want to buy at 88.5 and then now you have to buy at 88.5 again, right? But we do not want to make any preemptive move. So just wait a little longer, see if there's any confirmation of the trend stabilizing, especially the nearer term trend stabilize. Then I think that is when can position yourself for better, entry, maybe perhaps above that 95, you're good, then you will be scaling into your wins. But be careful if prices continue to cross, or that 20 days moving average cross below that 100 days moving average. I think that is when you want to consider what is the next step. Is it to cut losses, what to do then. But definitely, if the trend continues to weaken, do not go and buy some more. Do not go and buy some more. I would not recommend for that. All right. So I think that is a very quick one for KTOS defense and security solutions. Pass the time now to Z to cover the next stock from you guys.
All right, thanks, Mervin. Okay, let me share my screen over here, and I think the next stock that I have would be by Sebastian, right? Sebastian, I hope you're still here. Good morning. Please advise, is it a good time to buy the metal companies now? One thing I like about doing AMAS as well, right, is that sometimes when you all share the stocks, it's stocks that we never, know before. We never heard of it before, and then sometimes it's quite interesting to look at them. So thank you for sharing, right, to expand our worldview in terms of stocks as well. Right. Okay, so let's look at TMC right now, which is the metal company. I just had a quick look. I think it's a small cap company that does metal exploration. So basically, I think they mine for metal and things like that. Right. So, but not to worry, let's take a look at the stock in terms of technically, right? Because you are asking whether it's a good time to buy, right? So I will assume that perhaps you do not hold any position now, right? So this particular stock at this point in time, let me see how many of you guys are here right now. Maybe about 150. Okay, 150 plus of you over here today, right? Maybe you guys can also help me and help Sebastian out, right? Based on what you guys are seeing on the chart right now, right? Do you think that Sebastian should just buy immediately, should wait, to be patient, or to wait, or just buy? Maybe you guys can let me know. B for buy, W for wait. Right, let me know in the chat. What do you guys think? Right, what do you guys think Sebastian should do? Right, wait or buy? Okay, let me see what are some of the comments by you guys. Glenn says wait. Ivan says wait. Joseph says wait. Okay, John says wait. Wow, a lot of you guys all say wait. Oh, Adrian says buy a bit. Okay, Adrian says buy a bit. Victor says wait. Colin says wait. Jessica says buy. Right, okay, I think there is a couple of like different consensus, right? Some say buy a bit, some say wait. Yeah, Yatri even say wait, crossover already happened 20 to 100. Oh, maybe wait for crossover. I think maybe that's what you're trying to say. Okay, I think that there are different opinions on this as well, right? So let's take a look in terms of what the chart is telling us, right? Then perhaps from then we can get a better clarity in terms of, is it really a good time to actually buy? Right? So first thing first, as you guys always know, when you all come to AMS, right, for myself, we always look at the trend first, right? I always like to look at the trend first, going to the first step, right? Step by step, right? When we look at the trend, we look at the moving average, right? And moving average consists of long-term trend, short-term trend, right? So longer-term trend wise, this blue line definitely still looks good, right? 200 days moving average, pointing up, right? Red line, which is 100 days moving average, not that fantastic, right? Because it was actually going up. Then you can see now it started to show signs of it sloping down, right? And of course, green, which is 20 days moving average, don't have to talk about it. This one everybody can see, is definitely pointing down. So in terms of the trend wise, it is not very aligned in terms of the short term and longer term, right? Especially so we are seeing some conflicting signs whereby short term pointing down, 100 days moving average starting to show signs of weakness sloping downwards, then blue line actually still pointing up. So it it's not aligned, right? The key thing is when we think about buying into a stock, we want to make sure that firstly, your short-term trend and your longer-term trend both must be aligned and heading in the same direction, right? So that is what we want to see. But at this point in time, we don't really see that, right? So that is one thing that you got to think about at the back of your mind already. And second thing, when we turn on the 1GT bullish and bearish signal, what do we see? We see a 1GT bearish signal, right? And as what Joey has mentioned earlier on, right? When you see a bearish signal, it doesn't mean that the stock will crash, but indeed there is selling pressure returning, and plus we can evidently see that in, you know, the price action, right? It has just kind of like been going down, right? But I mean, over the past couple of weeks, right? I think about the past week or so, we can start to see price started to stabilize a bit, right? It has started to stabilize around the $5 level, right? But I have not seen the 20 days moving average flattening out yet. I think that's the next thing that perhaps, Sebastian, you might want to take note of as well, right? At least to wait for, you know, the 20 days moving average, right, to kind of like flatten out first. And even better if, yes, it can cross over the 100 days moving average, which is like what Yatri has mentioned, right? So I think some of the things that you got to take note of first. So in terms of buying, I think don't have to rush to buy because obviously, like what we mentioned, 1GT bearish signal and short-term weakness, right? But you want to think about buying, okay, but you want to make sure that you have confluence of, you know, factors, right, to make sure that you want to buy, right? Because you want to make sure that everything is aligned, then get into a position, right? Don't have to rush, right? Don't have to rush. So the next thing is when we turn on the 1GT trailing support and resistance function over here, you can see that if prices continue to actually head upwards, right, and break this trailing resistance, we'll get another 1GT bullish signal. And by then, right, this 20 days moving average, right, potentially it might already flatten out or showing some signs of it pointing back up. So I think two things that perhaps you want to monitor. Number one is your 20 days moving average starts to flatten out and point up. Number two is to watch out for another 1GT bullish signal coming out to give you additional confirmation before thinking about entering, right? Because we can see that, let me just turn this off first, because we can see that based on the support and resistance, right? I mean, very clearly, I draw a support here at the $4 psychological level. Like I've mentioned, $5, I'm not too sure whether this $5 will hold because over the past week, it seems like it's holding, right? Potentially, we can find a new higher support at this $5 range, right? But resistance, very clearly, one of the resistance level, right, is at this $11. This was where we started to see selling pressure returning. Very long upper shadow. Selling pressure is present, right? So $11 definitely will be another resistance, right, a target level that we want to take note of. But I think right over here, right, perhaps this is also this $8, right, $8 psychological level, right? I think this is where I would not be surprised if we see some selling pressure return near this $8 because during, you know, middle of June all the way to July, right over here, this was where prices was actually kept below, right? So if prices were to head back up, you know, this is where, you know, it's okay to actually, you know, lock in some profits, nothing wrong to lock in some profits near a resistance level, right? Especially so when we know that last time here got selling pressure come back, right? So these are some of the levels and some of the things that perhaps you can take note of, Sebastian, in terms of positioning yourself for entry, right? We want to buy, but don't anyhow buy at any price, right? We want to wait for confirmation before getting in. Then, of course, when you get in already, have a trading plan in place, know where to actually get out as well. Okay, so that would be for the metal company. I will pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. All right, very good analysis there. Let me move on to the next one. And thank you so much, guys, for typing in. I think we have a lot of you typing in, a lot of the US stocks, giving us a bit of context. I can see more than 30, 40 over stocks. So we will do our best, guys. So, you know, as usual, every Friday, we try to cover as many as possible, maybe 10 to 15. I might have to leave. I have to leave probably about 12, 15 p.m. as I've got a flight to catch later, a short trip with my family. But me and Z will continue to cover more, all right? But our apologies if we cannot cover all the stocks because every time there's like 40, 50, you know, each time maybe 10 to 15 only. Okay, now let's go to cover the next one, and that would be asked by, let's see, I think Doraemon or what? Dory. All right, Dory. Okay, good. Hi. Meta. All right, you bought at an average price of $640. The past few days went up. Is it? Yeah, it went up a bit. Right, able to accumulate more now. So basically, able to buy more now, lah. Right. Let's find out. So this is Meta right over here, $633. So for Meta, you can clearly see, guys, that over the past 1 over year, well, we got bullish, bullish, bullish. So every time you get bullish signals, that, as I say, that will be a very good confirmation. You can see that we started to push even higher, right? From about 500, we went all the way to 690. And what happens? A bearish signal actually appeared. That was in February, right? That was the tariffs lah. I think before Trump introduced tariff, February, March, April, everything went down, right? So you can see we've got a bearish signal. The green 20 days moving average line, the short-term trend also turned down. So even though the long-term trend for Meta was okay, right? But we got bearish signals. We got the short-term trend turning down. And what happened? You can see we started to go all the way down from 720 to 520, correct? So if you're getting in when you get a bearish signal, then you might get stuck lah. I mean, you see from me from here go down from here is about 28% there. So, you know, we try not to get in when we get a bearish signal, because that is a pretty good confirmation that we are seeing weakness in the short term. Plus, you can see the green line also turning down. All right. We want to get in, like what Z has mentioned, when we get the confirmation to get back in. All right. And that actually happened right over here in May, right? Whereby we got a 1GT bullish signal. So you can see after the 1GT bullish signal in May, what happened? The green line turned up, the long-term trend was still up, and there we go, right? From here all the way up to the bearish signal, 28% in about 5 months. Make sense? All right. So when you see a bearish signal, then we don't get in again, right? Because you can see now it seems like it's something to do with, like, I mean, now also pump, got 1, 2, 3. Let's just zoom in. You can see it's actually 3 bearish signal. It's a bit overlap, but you can see right here we've got 3 bearish signal. Previously also got 3, 1, 2, 3. Then we all the way down. All right. Now seems like also it's like coming down. Right. You can take from here and then you paste it over here. Seems like about the same there, right? I mean, seems like they're coming down about the same, right? Question: are we seeing a new 1GT bullish signal yet? Like this thing over here, right? Can we take and like paste it over here or here or here? I don't know lah, right? But has it come out yet? Haven't yet, right? So back to your question, Dore, right? I mean, yeah, you have bought some at 640. Normally, what we want to do is that we want to wait for confirmation. Not saying that you cannot buy, but if you buy right now, we're not really getting what we call the confirmations that we need to get back in. So it might be what we call a bit of a gamble. It's not really a high conviction kind of trade. It's a trade whereby you want to test it, you want to hopefully it rebounds kind of trade, right? You could do it, right? But the thing is that we probably would not want to do it, because we want to only seek for trades with high convictions whereby we get more confirmations that is starting to move up. All right. And that is when we were to see this bullish signal coming out. And that is if we were to see not just the bullish signal coming out, but the green line. I mean, look at the green line. All right. Obviously, it's still pointing down. It makes sense. I mean, it's been pointing down since September, not last week. September, October, November. Now we're going December. It has been pointing down, flat a bit down. Now still pointing down. All right. So not entirely out of the woods. Yeah, I mean, we have rebounded a little bit. I would say maybe 600 or 580 would be a bit of a support level. Rebounded over here, rebounded. So yeah, 580 to 600, maybe a bit of a support, right? Cool, nothing wrong, good stuff, right? But to get more confirmations of the reversal, best if we can see like this green line, you can see the green line down, pump up, plus bullish signal, same thing. Now the green line down. Let's say next week or next week, it flattened out. Wow, lucky. Okay, never go down, never like all the way down, right? If it starts to flatten out a little bit, and a week later it starts to point up a bit, that would mean some strong buying pressure have come back. The short-term trend has started to reverse back up. Plus, if we get another bullish signal right over here, that would be the confirmation that we seek. That could potentially lead the reversal, all right, all the way up. Like you can see down, boom, all the way up. So if you could like take this stick from here, and we could like paste it, take from here, and then you like paste it over here. Does it make sense so far? I mean, if that's what we see, all right, that is what we're going to look out for. All right. So I would say your question, right? Whether is it able to accumulate more now? Well, if you want, you can accumulate near 580, 600. I mean, that's indeed where some bargain hunting is coming back. We saw some bullish candlestick right over here, but that's just one confirmation. Normally, as I say, we want to seek for more confirmations for a very clear reversal signal to really get back in. All right, so I think Meta is definitely one of stocks in our watch list. I think it looks really, really attractive. In fact, we're watching out very closely for it to time our entry. I mean, to really get back in again. But we just want to wait for a few more signals to come in just to point to that strong upside reversal. Make sense? All right, so that will be for Meta Platforms, META. Let me pass on the mic to Bervin to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, let me just see. I saw one that is quite interesting here. Just change it. Okay, why is my screen looking like it's quite small? Okay, no worries. Hopefully everybody can see my screen. It looks like it's cut in half on the. Okay, never mind. Yesin Tian. Okay, sorry if I butchered your name a little bit there. BXSL, Blackstone Secured Lending Fund. Is it a good time to buy? This is very, very interesting. I was just reading it on the site right there. All right, so this is basically a company that deals in private credit. All right, private credit. So I mean, they help in our context SMEs grow. All right, but their shares are listed on the stock exchange and they provide very, very good dividends. In the US context, are very, very good dividends in the sense where their yield is about 11%. Taking away 30%, you still have 7%. Very impressive for the US market, 7% dividend. It's not bad. It's 77 US cents every quarter or so. Looks very, very attractive. And I think I know why you are intending to look at it to buy, because today there is a 1GT bullish signal coming right in. I mean, the past 2 months or so, we actually see the prices actually sell down from $32 again. All right, this price, the yield is really very, very attractive. But the longer term trend looks to be pointing down. All right, looks to be pointing down. There was a bearish crossover right here sometime in August as well. We actually see the 100 days moving average cross below the 200 days moving average. Yeah, prices found a little bit of a relief, a little bit of support, a base right at that $25 psychological level, rebounded once, twice, 3 times. All right, but I think in the immediate sense, we can place a resistance just at that $28 level. Look at that right there. I can actually see that sellers actually came in once, twice, 3 times. All right, consolidated here once, broke below here another time, and most recently, this is where the 100 days moving average is currently at as well. All right, so I think pretty much the very key level I think you should look out for is the $28 level. So I think first, let's just add a alert above that $28 level. So I think if prices cross that $28 level, yeah, I think we could potentially see another 1GT bullish signal show up right there. And I think that would be a better sign of a recovered strength or the momentum or renewed strength coming in, as well as the 20 days moving average could cross above that 100 days moving average as well. With that 100 days moving average, starting to flatten out a little bit. All right, so I think that is a level to actually watch out for as well. Yes, you'll be buying slightly higher, a little bit more uncomfortable for sure, but I think it gives you a better conviction. Right? Give you a better conviction. So I think in the sense where you are buying something like this, I think your intention would be to gain a little bit of capital appreciation and sell very close to a resistance, right? Look at that resistance being tested once here, twice. They're not able to break above. So I think in this case, in a sideways, more or less in a sideways consolidation range, pretty much since the start of 2025, you've just been capped above that $25 level. The ceiling is right around that $32 level. So if you were to consider to get in, all right, just above that $28 level, a little bit more aggressive, I would say, a little bit more aggressive. All right, a little bit more aggressive right there. That upside represent still not too bad. You still have a 12 to 13% upside. All right, 12 to 13% upside for Blackstone Secured Lending Fund. But I think there is some risk involved as well. I think off the top of my head, if there is a potential rate cut, I'm not too sure what is the effect on the stock as well. You may see their net interest income start to come down and then prices start to weaken again. I think that is a consideration, but I think pretty much if prices are able to hold above that $28 level, if we can see a break above, I think that's a good place to potentially position yourself for an entry to ride that upside or ride the upside towards that $32 level, and to also enjoy a little bit of that high dividend yield along the way as well. All right, so I think Blackstone Secured Lending Fund, very, very interesting. I think can look into it a little bit more. I think I'll add it to my personal watch list as well. Okay, so I'll just pass the time to Z now to actually cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Mervin. Okay, I think the next stock that I have over here will be by Evelyn. Right, Evelyn is asking about Palantir, hold since 2021 DFC. I don't know if you're asking about discounted cash flow or you are saying that you dollar cost average at 1860 and shall I hold longer and what's the growth prospect of this? And I think Adrian, right? Adrian also asking about Palantir, right? A few days ago, rebound at support line. Is it a potential to go in? All right, so maybe let me just very quickly, right? Let's cover Palantir very quickly. Right, so for Evelyn case, I assuming that you are saying that you're holding lah, right? And I'm not sure if you meant that you hold at 1860, because if you do hold at 1860, probably that's when you say back in 2021, this is where you buy, right? And I just take a very quick reference, let's say about 18 right over here to where we are at now. We are at about 166, right? Wow, actually this is the first time I ever see somebody on our live stream whereby we do a projection up. That's close to 800%. But this is amazing. Yeah, this is amazing. But in time, I believe you were also down, about 70% over. But lucky, the thing is that this stock, it went up. Because nobody can say the stock can go down some more, right? It can potentially go down, right? But the thing is that now, of course, the stock went up. So great that you are sitting on 700% over profits, right? Close to even 800% profits. But now the key thing is you need to take steps, right? Actively take steps to protect these profits, right? To protect these profits. And also at the same time, I don't know, along the way, right? Have you considered to even accumulate more positions? Because at this point in time, if we look at Palantir, I don't need to look back so far back, 4 years ago or what. We just look at where we are at now, like 2025, right? Actually, the trend for Palantir, definitely it looks great, right? The longer term trend, both are actually pointing up, right? The red line and the blue line, they're actually pointing up. It's just that currently, as you guys also know, regarding like AI valuation and things like that, right? There is some sort of pullback in terms of the market, right? In terms of all the tech stocks as well. And definitely Palantir is not spared lah. We can also see that, prices have gone down. Yes, it has gone down from 200 to about 150, right? And 20 days moving average has also slowed down, right? We all can see that it started to point down as well. Plus the fact is that we also got, a 1 GT bearish signal coming out not too long ago, right? I think on 6th of November, the start of November, right? So now you're already holding on to the position, right? And of course, 800% great, right? But I would say that you want to take profits along the way, also okay, right? Because when you take profits along the way, nobody say you cannot actually buy back again, right? Especially when the trend is looking good, right? So if you can see right over here, I've already drawn some of the few support and resistance level that perhaps you might want to also take note of and set it in your trading view if you're using this, right? So we can see that, of course, 120 here will be one of the support level, right? That previously was a resistance, broke above it, right? It broke above it, then retested it over here, right? Then we got 3 consecutive, actually not 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 consecutive 1 GD bullish signal, and prices started to head up again. Next resistance here, 150, turned to become what we call a new higher support, right? So from 120, resistance went all the way up to 150, found a new higher support at 150, right? So this is where 150 over the past couple of days, like what Adrian mentioned, prices actually kind of like rebounded, right? Especially so this candlestick, and we saw a long lower shadow, which means buying pressure is indeed present, right? And also right over here, this period from July all the way to September, this was where 150 was also being tested. So we know that 150 indeed is where some buying pressures actually return, right? And potentially this is where we can consider to actually accumulate, right? But again, we always go back to wanting to have more confirmation, right? Because you want to have a higher conviction trade, you want to have higher probability of winning, right? So the thing is, we also want to wait and monitor for this 20 days moving average to stop pointing down. Can you see this? So right over here, you see this portion over here, 20 days moving average stop pointing down, and we get a 1 GT bullish signal coming out. By then, is it okay to enter? It is okay to enter also, right? Even though, I mean, of course, you say you enter here, price is cheaper lah, but you enter here, not too bad also, right? At least you get more confirmation, and perhaps you're also feeling a bit more confident lah, because you got more factors in your favor, right? In your favor. So the thing is that we want to wait. We can wait for at least the 20 days moving average to actually stop pointing down lah, right? To at least stop pointing down and maybe even potentially head sideways, right? And to indeed confirm that, you know, the 150 support level can indeed actually hold, right? Because, I mean, over the next couple of weeks, you are to ask me, how will the price move? I don't know, right? I don't know, right? But back to Evelyn, right? Can you potentially hold longer, right? The thing is that when prices actually reach resistance level, there is nothing wrong for you to actually take some profits, right? So as you can see here, 200, right, is actually the psychological resistance level, right? And this is where you can potentially take some profits also, right? You can potentially take some profit. You don't have to take all because like what I mentioned, longer term trend still looks good, right? Nothing to take some profits near the 200 level. Because why? If we go back a couple of months back, maybe use 2025 as an example, right? If we say that 120, right? 120 is the resistance. If here you actually took some profits, I think definitely more than 100% because your average cost price is like 1860, right? You take some profits here, is it okay? It's okay, right? And uptrend, is it still intact? Yes. And then your 120 turn to what will become a new higher support, right? Is it okay to actually enter near this new higher support zone? Okay, right? And again, if let's say right over here, you see 150 become what we call a resistance, right? Near 150 for you to take some profit. Is it okay? Okay, right? Then after you take profit already, right, it doesn't mean that you cannot buy back, right? You can still buy back at a new higher support zone. I mean, of course, you got to change your mindset a bit. Sometimes it is okay to buy at higher prices, right? Especially if the trend is okay and we got more confirmation. So can you see what I'm trying to, the message that I'm trying to bring across? It's okay to get in and get out, and as long as the trend is okay, right, there's nothing wrong to actually take profits near the resistance. Then along the way, you know, you will feel more confident as well, and you realize the profits, right? Because I don't know if along the way you got take any profits or not, or maybe you are just sitting on unrealized profits all the way, right? So this is something that perhaps if Evelyn, right, you can actually think about, right? You can think about, and if prices, of course, if it can break and hold above, you know, the 200, right, then I think definitely we will have more potential upside or the next leg upwards, right, towards where perhaps we can do a very simple projection like so, right? Maybe towards the 250, right? Step by step, right? Step by step. Because if you to ask me whether Palantir can reach like $500, what is the growth prospect? Maybe $1,000. I don't know, right? I don't know, because everybody have different ways of you know, analyzing the value of the stock, right? And whether the growth prospect, right? So based on technical, this is what we can see at this point in time, right? And we make use of the information to provide us with a higher probability winning trade. Okay, I hope that makes sense and help you in terms of, you know, what you can potentially do. And also for Adrian, right, who's thinking about buying, right, take note of some of the confirmations that we want to watch out for. Okay, so that would be for Palantir. Back over to you, Joey, to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. All right, very good one on Palantir. Let's move on to the next one. All right, and that will be asked by another. Let's see who's asking about this. Right, we have Hong Wan. All right, asking about MSTR. Right, Strategy Incorporated, MSTR, right over here. All right, and Hong Wan, you're saying that you're thinking to buy on dips, right? Did it even dip? Yes, indeed, yes, dip by quite a lot. All right, help me out here. What do y'all think about this stock called MSTR Strategy Incorporated? Maybe all of us can help us help Hong Wan out. Do you think Hong Wan should buy on dip? Buy on dip. Just type B for buy, type N for no. Right, let me know, guys. Buy on dip. Why? Okay, yes or no? Right, yes or no? Y for yes, N for no. What do you guys think? Is this a stock that you want to buy on dip? That means as it goes lower, you buy. Right? Yes. No. Type in the chat. Right. Let's see what are some of the you know, comments that could help Hong Wan out as well. Wait. Don't buy. All right, Adrian. Thank you so much. You can see Adrian. No. All right, Chin Heng, no as well. Well, all of you are all experts. No. See, Hong Wan, this is what everybody say. No, I say one. No. They say don't buy on dips. Right? Don't buy on dips. right? No, right? No reversal confirmation as well. Thank you so much. All right, no, no can force some more. All right, Francis Xavier, no. All right. So, well, my sentiments are like as well. I would say that this stock MSTR Hong Wan, quite clearly. I mean, you could see that I've already turned on the one good trend pro indicator. So we have the moving averages and also the bullish and bearish signal. So the very first box right here, pump off it, pump on it, and you can clearly see in less than 2 seconds that there are indeed some bearish signals coming out since July. All right, I'll not go too far, but I mean, let's maybe take a look at like over here. Look at this. Okay, in September last year. Okay, fine. Right, we got 2 bullish signals. You tell me you want to buy over here, no problem. Go ahead, lah. 2 bullish signals, right? But a bearish signal comes out, pump, 2 more bearish signal. There we go. All right. Over the past few months since July, we got not 1, not 2, but 3 1 GT bearish signal. So it's gone down from 440 to 175. That is like a half price. In fact, more than half price, 58% down. So the point is this, guys, I think all of you know that, I mean, based on this strategy, right, we never want to buy a stock on dips, especially if it's just dipping and dipping with no clear signs of a reversal. All right. And in this case, we got 3 bearish signals. If you look at the green line, all right, well, the green 20 days moving average line since August, after the bearish signal came out, has started to go down. Flat a bit, it rests for a week before going down even more. Down. Is the green line still pointing down? Well, don't need to bluff yourself, lah. I mean, it is still pointing down, lah. Right? So the short-term trend is still down. These bearish signals are still in play. And worse, right? If we take a look at the longer-term trend, the red and the blue line. So if you ask me, the longer term trend since last year, 2023, 2024, was okay. You know, look at the red and blue. Red above the blue, right? It was okay, right? Red going up, blue going up. But seems like over the past 1-2 weeks, the red line has finally gone below the blue line. Red below the blue. 100 days moving average below the 200 days moving average. So there's also another confirmation where not just the bearish signal is out, the short-term trend is out, but the long-term trend is also down. Right? So what does this mean? Well, it means that more so we don't want to buy on cheapness. We don't want to buy, as it's dipping more and more, because there could potentially be even more dips. All right. So thinking to buy on dip, Hong Wan, we will not buy on dips for stocks like this, right? Because these are stocks to buy. You can see that bearish signal is out. We have broken what we call a support here. So you can see a bit of support here, right? Rebounded, 225, rebounded as well. But over the past 2 weeks, we have gone below the 225. That's another confirmation as well. I mean, you can take a look at it, right? It's another confirmation whereby that support they have been holding since October last year for 1 year, it has given way as well. So we could potentially see more downside. Where could next support level be? Well, I would say next support could be maybe all the way from what we've seen over here, rebounded, $100. So now it's 175. Right? Next support is 100. Why 100? Because you can see that was where we have rebounded, right? You see, rebound, right? So 100 could be a good support level. So my question is that if you buy on dips, are you okay with it dipping more to 100, right? I mean, like 175 to 100 is like another leg down, right? So why you want to get in on dips whereby it could maybe dip some more? Make sense, right? So we never want to get in on dips unless there are clear signs of a reversal. That's where we get in on dips, because you've seen some stability, you get the bullish signals, the short-term trend reverses back up, fine, right? But now seems like everything is saying down and up lah. Make sense so far? All right, so we definitely do not want to buy on dips, because I mean, if you're buying and then it goes down, you buy, and then go down, then you buy some more, go down, you buy some more, then it's like bye-bye to you, because it's like, your money will be stuck, and you're throwing good money over bad money, like what some of my team Z has mentioned as well. All right, definitely not a good thing to do, especially in a downtrend. All right, so that is for Strategy Incorporated. The code is MSTR. Now we need to pass on the mic to Bervin to cover the next US stock.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, let's go. Jessica. Hi, good morning, Jessica. Should please share about Google we bought at 322.8. So I believe that should be rather recent, right? 322.8. Yep, so that should be either Tuesday or Wednesday that you actually got in for Google. All right, so I think right now, okay, anyway, this is the GOOGL stock code. All right, you could have bought GOOG, so I will just use GOOGL as a example here, okay? So here we go, we can actually see that I have a couple of lines drawn already. Just let me just get rid of it first. Okay, so we will first look at the longer term trend, right? Look at the longer term trend. What does it say? We can see that immediately there is two 1GT bullish signals that are still in play, right? And the first one actually came out in May, the second one came out in August, and right now prices have indeed pushed higher. Previously, it was, a little bit just moving sideways, pretty much kept under that 210 level, right? 210 level for the entire year of 2024 as well. And after this break above this 210 level, that gap up, we finally seeing some very bullish price actions coming in right there, where prices very firmly broke above and held above that 240 level. All right, the 240 level, it gave way in September as well, and now very, very swiftly in November, that 300 psychological support had given way as well. All right, so I think right now we can see a little bit of sellers. I think in the last 2 days as well, so a little bit of sellers coming in to take some profits, a little bit of indecisiveness. I guess that is okay. I guess right now it still looks okay because prices have moved up higher and higher and higher. We want prices to remain in a healthy uptrend, right? Cannot be just every day go higher and higher and higher. You want prices to consolidate, right? Consolidate a little bit, within that range, that above that 300 level and under that 325 level for a little bit before breaking above towards the next target, right? So I think the next target, if prices break above that 325, would be towards that 350 level. But here's the thing, okay, you already got in, but usually we do not really want to rush in to buy very, very close to a resistance. Right? We do not really want to rush in very, very close to a resistance to buy. If prices continue to hit higher, great, fantastic. But then what if prices start to hit downwards? Then you say, hey, why I buy already? Then the stock start to come down. That is why, because you perhaps may have bought very, very close to a resistance. But that's fine. Right now, prices are still within that resistance zone. Resistance zones of 325. We're seeing a little bit of downward pressure coming in. Completely normal. Those who have bought previously may also want to take profit, right? So I think right now, what you could do, Jessica, would be to actually set up some alerts above that 325 level, maybe 326, 327. I think a couple of alerts would be good for you as well to get yourself alerted. As prices hit higher, you may want to shift up your stop loss to protect your downside as well. All right, so you have already gotten in. So the next step, or if this step hasn't been taken yet, you may want to take steps to actually protect your downside. Right, turning on that trailing support very quickly. I mean, we got that 1GT bullish signals coming in, right? And that trailing support right now is around that 280 level. Around that 280 level. So typically we want to take steps to place your stop limit order just 1 to 3% below that trailing support. Not above, below. So in case if prices see a little bit of weakness and start to hit down lower, I think this is a level that where potentially buyers could come back in. Look at that right there. Buyers actually came in very close to that trailing support. Right here, coming in very close to that trailing support above that horizontal support as well. So I think right now, take some steps. All right, take some steps to actually protect your downside since you are already in position. But do not, let's just blindly wait and see and hope that prices go up higher. Have a plan what happens if prices turn down lower. But right now, I would say Google is still in a very good position with that 20 days moving average pointing up above the 100 days and 200 days as well pointing up. Right, so for those who are looking to get into position for Google, to ride that uptrend, I think a potential entry could be a little bit more aggressive. Could be first either above that 325 level if prices break above that 325 level, or alternatively you could position yourself to get in closer to that trailing support right around that 280 to maybe about 290 level. Hey, that could be a level you can potentially position yourself for an entry as well. Okay, so I think that's a very quick one for Google. So far, still looking good. I'll pass the time now to Z to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Bervin. Okay, so the next stock that I have over here will be by Rachel. Right, Rachel asking about morning SNDK. Enter at 218, any upside. Now I'm like, SNDK. Oh, then I went to search. Oh, it is SanDisk. Actually, very long never heard of this already. It's more of like, the micro SD card last time when you got to put in the phone. But now most of the time our phone don't really need that. Like everybody use iPhone, the cloud and things like that, right? So, but not too bad, right? Because this chart, I didn't know that the company actually listed not too long ago, right? And we can see that currently, based on this chart, right? When it first got listed, it's kind of like just moving sideways, and now it is actually heading up, right? But it's just that it doesn't have sufficient candlestick to actually count the 200 days moving average yet. But not to worry, at least we still got the green line, which is the short-term trend 20 days moving average, and the red line, which is the 100 days moving average, right? So Rachel mentioned that you enter at 218, any upside. Okay, so price actually closed at 215, right? Price actually closed at 215. So I think, but you're sitting on some unrealized losses, right? But I think the most important question also to ask yourself, right, is what's your plan when you first enter, right? Because I'm not too sure where you actually enter. There could be two places that you can potentially enter at 218 that I'm guessing lah. Number one is here, right? Somewhere before when you reach a peak, right? Number two, it is somewhere around here. So I hope it is the first one lah, rather than the second one, because usually we don't want to enter when we see a 1GT bearish signal, right? Because like what Joey mentioned, usually when we see a 1GT bearish signal, it means that indeed there is more selling pressure returning, right? So the thing is that if you have gotten in here, then a bit sayang lah, because never actually get out at near the resistance level, right? But no worries, right? Now we take a look at some of the levels that potentially you should actually consider to take note of, and also set some alerts on your end, right? Especially if prices can rebound and head back up, where is the area that you can potentially take some profits? And also at the same time, if prices were to break below certain support, right, then where is that level that perhaps you might want to be a bit more cautious and maybe have a risk management plan in place, right? So based on this right now, right, we can see that around 180, right? We talk about support first, 180 right over here, right over here. And this is where I think we actually saw some buying pressure, right, actually returning just based on this, right? You can just see this candlestick itself, right, with a long lower shadow, right? And it's near exactly at the support, the 180. I would say 180 is a psychological support, right? This is where we saw buyers returning. This was where we also actually see, this 180 being tested, and we also see like more long lower shadows than long upper shadows, right over here, right? So that just indicates that at this zone right over here is where buyers actually return, right? So would you agree that if prices were to drop, right, decline and break below this 180, then not so good, right? Then not so good, because that is the level that buyers are supposed to come back, right, based on the past price action, but it didn't, right? And prices continue to fall and break below it. That's where you got to be a bit more cautious and think about your exit plan, right? Think about your stop loss plan, your exit plan to actually protect your downside, right? That is for based on the support zone, right? And based on resistance, we can see that 280, right, will be one of the resistance level, right? Why one of the resistance? Here, we can see that after, I think this is the earnings, right? The earnings result came out, market actually absorbed the news, price actually went up, right? That potentially the earnings could be a catalyst lah. Price went up to 280, and then this was where we started to see some selling pressure return, whereby there's like red bearish candlestick and also candlestick with long upper shadow. So it's different. At the support, we see long lower shadow. At the resistance, we see long upper shadow. So it makes sense, right? Because at the resistance, people want to sell, right? People want to sell, people want to take profit. So I would say right at this zone, right over here, this is what we call a sell zone, right? And this is where profit taking can actually return. So based on this, you know that there's a buy zone, there's a sell zone. Then this is where you can already set your price alert, right? Set your price alert. If prices were to reach back to the 280, you know, this level, this is where you can potentially take some profits as well, right? So maybe from your 280 to here, that's about, you know, maybe 20, don't exactly at 280, maybe 275, 276, more than sufficient, right? That's already a 25% profits, right? And just make sure to think about your stop loss plan as well, because don't just think about the upside, right? Upside can take care of itself as long as the trend is good, right? But downside is the one that everybody got to be very cautious and to consistently monitor, right? Because the market don't care about your downside one, right? But upside, of course, if you have, just continue to ride it, right? So just make sure to actually set price alerts accordingly to manage this particular trade, all right? So at this point in time, I mean, there is a 1GT bearish signal, yes, but at least what we are seeing is that the 20 days moving average has not pointed down. The 100 days moving average is still actually going up. So just take note of where the buyers are supposed to come back. But if they didn't, then that's where you got to be a bit more cautious. Okay, so that would be for SNDK Corporation. I'll pass the time back to Joey to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much. All right, let's move on to the very next US stock, and that will be on this stock right over here. That is one of the stocks that we like as well. In fact, this was one of our favorite stocks since beginning of the year. Let me go to pull it out. I think who's asking about it? Vincent. Vincent, all right. Was looking at RTX Corp. Chart looks good. Now at $173. Yes, indeed, right? Is it a good entry point? Your advice, please. All right, thanks for giving us a bit of context. So you're looking to kind of get in on this stock. All right, is it good to even consider this stock? What could be a good entry price? Okay, so very good. You can see right now that the price is indeed about $173. All right, this is definitely a good one, business. So you can see that when we look at a stock, right, we definitely want to buy into a stock that is showing strength, right, whereby the longer term trend must at least be up. So for RTX Corporation, right, I'm very happy that you're thinking about buying stock like this, because that's exactly what we're thinking of as well. Because obviously you can see that the long-term trend is up. Look at the red and the blue line, both pointing up, red above the blue, right? Since like, well, since very long already. I think since like 2023 or 2024, right? It has been up since then. So very strong uptrend in the longer term. We have been pushing higher, forming higher lows and higher highs. It just means that, you know, every time it comes back down, buyers comes back and push it even higher. It dip a bit, it goes even higher. All right, higher lows, higher highs. Strong longer term uptrend just by looking at the rate and the blue line. However, in the short term, it doesn't mean we cannot come down, because you can see somewhere in like October, November last year, we got two bearish signal. We started to come down a little bit, all right, maybe like 5-10%. But what happens? A bullish signal come out, and then we start going up. Same thing, bearish signal in April, that was the Trump tariff, like everything came down, right? We got a bearish signal, it came down a bit. A few more bullish signals comes out, and there we go, all the way back up. Now let's zoom into what is happening right now over the past 1-2 weeks. So longer term trend still up. It has been up since last year, all right? Obviously still up. And I would say the short term trend, let's take a look, right? The green line, it was like up, flat a bit, up. Now I would say maybe a bit down, maybe a bit flat, all right, over the past weeks, as we are seeing a bit of selling pressure in the entire market, right? So most of the stocks have seen some selling, all right? But what would be a very key resistance level? I would say this is a level you want to take note of, 180. Support level, what we could do is that we could turn on this trailing support to see if we are still above it and what could be a good entry near the trailing support level. So first of all, this stock is a good buy. I mean, it's a stock that we want to consider buying into it as well, on strength, right? On weakness, if it does dip a little bit, but we don't get any bearish signals, so everything still looks good, right? Fine, right? We can continue to ride it, right? So you turn on the trailing support to see what it says. You can see that now the trailing support that has popped up since October last month has been moving up, flat, up, flat, up, flat. It is right over here around the 168. to 167. So I think not too bad, right? It seems like some bargain hunting is already coming out. Right over here, we saw some bullish candlestick appearing near the 168 to 172 support level, right? So I think that could be a good entry if you want to wait for a bit more confirmation, because the green line is slightly just a bit only, slightly sloping down. So let's say, I think if we can stay above the 168 up to next week or next week, I can tell you this green line will no longer go down. It will start to flatten out, something like this, all right? Once it starts to flatten out, it means that yes, that is indeed a support that's formed up. And of course, if we do see a few more, in fact, quite a few good bullish candles coming out already, buyers coming back on dips, pump, all right? We start to, we sell down, buyers come back and push prices all the way up and close even higher. That is a sign of strength already as we approach the 168 to 172 zone, all right? This is what we call a demand hot zone, a demand zone whereby buyers are starting to buy, all right? So if you do hit there again, I think it could be a good entry, especially when the green 20 days moving average line starts to flatten out. All right, so that is RTX Corp. I think it looks pretty okay. All right, not too bad. Longer term trend is up since last year. Every time, you can see we got bullish signals. It starts pushing higher. We get a bearish signal. It rests for a while and then it starts moving even higher as well. So right now, no bearish signal, so it's still okay. All right, we are above the trailing support. Still looks okay as well. If we can break, I can tell you, if we can break the 180, take note, 180 would be a psychological resistance level. If you can break the 180, so now it's like 173, still a bit far, but if you can break 180, we go to 181, 182, 183, 184, right? That is where we would even trigger a new 1GT bullish signal. All right, and that could lead the next phase of upside all the way. I'm not surprised, all the way to 180 to 190 to 200. That could be the next phase of upside. All right, so this is RTX Corp, not too bad. Definitely one of the stocks that we have in our longer term portfolio. And it looks pretty good as of now. We got confirmations pointing to more upside than downside. All right, Ken? Okay, very good. So what happens is now it's about 12 p.m. So as I say, guys, I need to rush off later. I have a flight to catch, a short trip. So maybe right now I could go ahead to just share my bonus stock, because Bervin and Z will share their bonus stock at the end. But I think before I leave, why not I share my bonus stock? How many of you want me to share a bonus stock that I think you could put in your watch list for more upside? Type a B, guys, type a B for bonus. If you want me to share with you guys the bonus stock I have for today before I got to run, all right, type B for bonus, let me know. Let me know, type B for bonus if you want me to share with you guys a bonus stock that you could put in your watch list, and that's after covering, all the US stocks. So really appreciate you guys just typing in the chat, the US stocks. I hope that you guys have got value. All right, but I thought before I leave, why not I share my bonus stock so you guys don't miss it. Right? Bervin and Z will share their bonus stock later as well. All right, so thank you so much. B bonus. All right, and yeah, there we go. All right, so let me just quickly share the bonus stock for today from me, and that would be this stock called Broadcom, right over here. AVGO. All right. So this is Broadcom right over here. Let me just go to turn off the bullish and bearish signals very quickly. All right. And you can see that for Broadcom, it has been in our watch list since like last year. Same thing, one of the very strong longer term uptrending company. All right. In the short term, we can see weakness is fine, but every time when the short-term trend and the long-term trend aligns, when the green line starts pointing up, there we go, all right? The rally actually started, right? So over the past 1 to 2 months, we saw the green line going from up to flat, right? To flat. It was a bit of a consolidation, I would say. We were kind of like consolidating from 325 to, I would say, 385, right? So 325 to 385, right? Around there, right? So you can see it's like moving up and down. It was a bit of a consolidation, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So I thought you could like do up, down for the next 1, 2, 3 months, right? But this stock have came back into my watch list over the past few days because it seems like we have attempted to break the 2-3 months consolidation resistance level, right? So that is the range, 325 to 385. And the green line turned from up to flat, which is correct because the short-term trend turned sideways, all right? But the longer-term trend, look at the red and blue, no problem. Long-term trend is up. It's been up since last year. That's very easy to see, okay? But the short-term trend was up, becomes sideways, okay? But why did this stock come into my watch list again? Well, because over the past few days, well, it seems like, not it seems like, but it's a fact that we have kind of like broken yesterday night, all right? Yesterday, because the yesterday market also, on Wednesday night, right, we kind of like broke above this resistance at about $385. So that's a sign of strength because, for the past 2 over months, we have been trading below it. And now finally, we've gone above this resistance level, right? That could offer potentially more upside. So what we could do is that we could do a little bit of a projection from here above the resistance all the way up. And that is where targets could be revised, I would say, to even that $450. So look at here, we just shift it up, we can do a bit of a projection somewhere around 450 lah. All right, so I think not too bad lah. So I would say that this is Broadcom. We got a consolidation. It was resting, short-term trend turned sideways, but right now it's attempting to break the resistance. It's only one day. All right, so I think tonight or maybe next week, quite crucial. If we can stay above 385, we go above the 400, even better. All right, that is where we can get more confirmation. And I can tell you this green line will stop becoming flat already. I mean, it was flat like for the past 1-2 months, but I can tell you once we stay above 400, this green line will start to point up. That would be another confirmation as well that we are moving to a higher phase. Okay, and all these confirmations are aligned. All right, we call it what we call the confluence of all these factors pointing to more upside. Okay, and what we could do right now is that for Broadcom, AVGO, we could also turn on the bullish and bearish signals. You can see, right, I've not turned it on yet, but let's go to turn it on and see what it says now, whether, any bullish signal or maybe a bearish signal came out yesterday, right? All right, let's find out, right? Let's turn it on. And you can see that for Broadcom, well, it's not always bullish, right? As I say, sometimes you get bearish, by bearish, then don't go and buy lah, right? As you can see, it start going down, right? Wait for the confirmation. Wait for the stock to show its hand, all right? When we get not just one, but 2, 3 bullish signals, the green line turn up, there we go, right? In fact, from April all the way to the bearish signal over the past 2 weeks as it rested, right? It's 104%, right? In 7 months, 104%, not 7 years, 7 months, okay? Look at the reversal. Now let's take a look at what has happened, right? So in fact, Wednesday night, right? We got a new 1 GT bullish signal as we attempted to break that resistance. So not too bad, right? So the fact is that we got alerted because we got a new bullish signal coming out. It's only 1 day, but it looks quite positive so far. All right, if we can stay above the 400 or 385, or we go to 401, 402, 403, 440 something, right? I think that will be where the upside momentum can be quite fast. Right, you might want to watch it. All right, it could be a more aggressive entry to ride it all the way to 420 to $450 as well. All right, so that is pretty much Broadcom, the bonus stock that I'd like to share with you guys earlier today because I have to run off and catch a flight. All right, so I hope you guys found value. All right, now let me share with you guys a little bit more in terms of the strategy. As I say, guys, today we don't have time to cover the whole strategy, but if you like to find out a bit more about the entire one good trend strategy, well, we don't have any webinars for December. All right, we're kind of like taking a break, but in January we have one webinar. So what happens is that you're going to click on the link in the chat. Can you just place the link in the chat, click on it, register for a free webinar. Let me just go to share with you guys the link. All right, right over here. This is pretty much the page that you will end up here. All right. So this is the one good trend webinar right over here. So go to click on the link in the chat, all right? And you come to this page over here, 6th of January, 2026. So it's like quite long. Like we don't do this every other month. It's not really my full-time job, right? I can see 6th of Jan, 2026. That is pretty much the dates of the next webinar. So go to register for it, all right? That's where we'll share with you guys a bit more on the entire one good trend strategy. How do we actually filter out the top 1% of stocks before even knowing what to do with them, before even knowing when to buy and sell them, right? That's exactly what we'll cover as well. Okay, Ken? So that is the link to check. Click on it. You come to this page, and that's where I look forward to share you guys a bit more about the one good trend strategy and also the 1GT Pro indicator. All right. So, yep, I think that would be it for me. All right, I'll pass on the mic to Bervin and Z, right, to cover the more US stocks. And at the end, they will share with you guys 2 new US stocks that you guys can put in your watch list as well. Thank you so much for joining me. All right. Do stay here. We're not leaving. I'm the only one running off to catch a flight, but my team will still be here. All right. So, thank you so much. Bervin, back to you. Go ahead.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Joey.
All right,
Bye.
bye, Joey. Have a safe flight.
Carry on.
All right, bye. Okay, so as Joey enjoys his holiday, let's continue. Okay, so let's go. I think here we go. Julia is asking. All right, so she bought NVO, so Novo Nordisk. All right, so my price seems to be down. Do I DCA? Okay. All right, so maybe let's help out Julia a little bit here. What do you guys think? Should Julia DCA dollar cost average down? All right, on my screen now it is Novo Nordisk. Yes or no? Y for yes, N for no. All right, let's just see. All right, so anybody wants to buy Novo Nordisk? Wow, Ivan, first one, sell. Not even don't buy. Straight away say sell. Okay, sell. Ivan says sell for Novo Nordisk. Anybody else? Would you want to DCA? All right, dollar cost average. Get in some for Novo Nordisk right there. I think Adrian says sell as well. No, so that's a no. Another sell. All right, so I think it's very, very clear, right? I think Julia, I think just be a little bit careful because why? Right here we can actually see firstly 2 1GT bearish signals that have actually appeared, right? 2 1GT bearish signal actually appeared in October as well. You know, that longer term trend, if you just zoom out a little bit, we can see a bearish crossover right there. About a year ago in November as well, bearish crossover prices started to tumble, breaking the $100 psychological support, subsequently breaking the $80 psychological support. All right, and then most recently we actually see prices break that $60 support. So it's $20 down, $20 down, $20 down. Okay, then most recently we even fell below that $50 psychological level. So if you have bought at $100 level, this is already a 50% off. So in order to get from here to here, yes, you lose a 50%. But in order for you to get from $50 to $100, you need a 100%. So definitely not a top pick, right? Not a top pick to break even. It's quite hard for any shares to move 100% just to break even at $100. All right, so I think right now we are still pretty much capped under the $50 level, and we also see that the 20 days moving average have started to slope down as well. No signs of recovery for Novo Nordisk just yet. And I think we could be potentially, let me just zoom out a little bit, head back to where we were. Yeah. Right there, where prices have previously, let's get rid of this. Prices have previously rebounded from, this was around the $45 level. Right, $45 level. This was where prices also rebounded from 3 days ago on Monday, right? On Monday, it actually rebounded from this $45 level. So I think right now, this is pretty much a level where buyers are looking to defend. Right, buyers are looking to defend that $45 level. And if it breaks down, we may potentially see another 1GT bearish signal come in. So Julia, I think maybe want to consider what is your next step. What's your next step if prices really do not break above that $50? I mean, definitely do not think of buying right now. Don't need to average down. I think right now, like what some of guys are saying right here, Elijah says, Eugene says, protect capital. Right, that's a very, very good statement. You need to consider what to do in order to protect the existing capital you have invested in this counter as well. So if we were to just turn on that trailing resistance right there, that trailing resistance right now around very close to that $50 level, around the $51 level. So if prices were to break above this level, hey, yes, we could potentially see some temporary relief. But I would say a better confirmation, all right, better confirmation of any signs of a longer term reversal would be a break above that $60 level first, opening that next uptrend or that next phase of that uptrend towards $80. But if prices are pretty much still trading under that $60 level, you may see just a consolidation $43 to $60. I think there are better candidates to pick on, right, to actually make some profits as well. I think do not try to buy into a downtrend hoping for a reversal at the same time. All right, so I think that is for Novo Nordisk. I think I will pass the time now to Z to cover the next US stock.
All right, thank you, Bervin. Okay, so since Bervin actually talked about like a healthcare stock, right? I think I saw one of the comments also by ST, right? ST is actually asking about this Clover Health, thinking about buying and when is a good entry point, right? So Clover Health, definitely, as you guys can see over here, life and healthcare insurance lah, right? It still have a bit to play in, part of it is still a bit of healthcare, right? But not exactly the same, like it's like Novo Nordisk, right? Whereby it actually produced those weight loss drugs, right? So for ST, right? ST thinking about buying Clover Health. So at this point in time, when we look at this chart right over here, what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Like 135, I think we have 135 of you guys still here with us, right? So what do you guys think? Do you think that, Clover Health at this point in time, should ST be thinking about buying Clover Health? Right, let me know in the chat, right? Let me know in the chat. Do you guys think, maybe give your opinion as well lah. Do you think ST should think about buying Clover Health, right? Based on what you guys are actually seeing right now. Let's see. Ivan says wait, right? Ivan says wait. Okay, Ivan says wait. Anybody else? Anybody else? What do you guys think about Clover Health when you guys look at this chart? CN says not yet. KDet says no. Orap says wait. Joseph says wait. Okay, a lot of you guys says wait, but first last say good support level now. Okay, so we have a few conflicting answers as well. So right, some say wait, some say maybe can think about buying near the support, right? But I think at this point in time, maybe if I were to zoom out, then maybe y'all will have a different opinion already. Can y'all look at this? When I zoom out just now to take a bigger picture of this chart, then I'm like, wow, actually a bit scary for this particular counter. Why? Because it has just been generally it has just been on a downtrend right? And if you were to zoom in to where we are at, that one I just look at the bigger picture, but we just need to zoom in to look at the price action for maybe the past year or so, right? We can also get some information from the trend and also from the signals, right? So first thing is that right over here, right, we see that first thing, the trend, 20 days moving average is pointing down, right? 20 days moving average is pointing down. The red and the blue line, they are generally sloping down, right? And the blue is actually above the red and is above the green, right? So when you see this combination like that, right, like so, right, when you see this combination like that, we want to see like that green, red, then blue. But now is the opposite, blue, red, then green. So that is the first sign to tell you that, hey, the trend actually not so good already, because based on Joey's 1GT framework, you want to think about buying when is in an uptrend not in a downtrend, right? So based on the moving average, that's the first telltale sign. Second telltale sign is that we got a 1GT bearish signal coming out also, right? Not too long ago, I think this is on the 6th of November, right? Early of November as well. So that's the second telltale sign that, hey, maybe I shouldn't consider to think about buying this. Maybe I should. Don't rush in, right? Can monitor first, right? Because we can see that near this $2, right? Maybe about $2 to $2.10. This is one of the support level that has been tested, right? That here, yes, it did break above, right? It broke above. here, somewhere in August, it tested. Not too long ago, I think 1 week ago, somewhere 20th of November, right? This period here, tested as well. So now it is approaching very close to the support level. Yes, but we always say we want to buy near a support, right? But that is provided that your trend is strong and it's in an uptrend. We don't want to buy near a support if, you know, the trend is down, because no point. Because if it breaks below a support, it's not so good, right? It just means that there's more selling pressure coming back, and it's not very positive sign that you break below a support, you still want to buy, right? So this level $2 to about this $2.10, right? I think this is the level that perhaps you might also want to watch for, like, and to be a bit cautious as well, because if it breaks below these $2, right, then I think definitely we may see more weakness returning to this counter, right? So I think at this point in time for Clover Health, don't have to rush in to think about buying or think about good entry point. I think first thing first, you got to make sure that the trend is actually up, because longer term trend, right over here, we see somewhere in June, right, the rate actually crossed below the blue line, right? And just to take reference, to give you a bit of context, if you were to look back, right, usually we don't look so far back, right? But just to give you a bit of context, right over here, right, you can see that the rate actually also crossed below the blue line, right, somewhere in 2021, right? And green was also below both the longer term trend. And very clearly you can see that the downside, there is a lot of downside to this counter, even to the lows of more than 100%, right, from 2021 to 2023, over a span of like 2 years, right? So we don't want to get caught in such a situation, because if you do buy, you need to have a downside. I mean, you need to have a risk management plan, like to manage your downside risk, right? But we try not to buy into stocks like that, because once you get in, sometimes when emotions comes into play, and you might think about, you know, like what Bervin example was earlier, right? Novo Nordisk continue to dollar cost average, buy in some more, and then that is when you are consistently buying into a downtrending stock and you are sitting on huge unrealized losses. That is not what we want to achieve, right? So first thing first, for Clover Health, make sure to see and monitor for a trend reversal first before even thinking about taking any positions. Okay, so that would be for Clover Health by ST. Back over to you, Bervin, to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks Z. I think don't just throw good money after bad. We monitor first and then we see. Next up, we go. Victor bought QUBT. So I believe QUBT is quantum computing. Sadly, it's gone all the way down. Let's discuss for my next action. Victor, are you still here? If you're still here, can you just let me know what price do you actually buy for quantum computing? So maybe we can actually see if have actually really gone all the way down, and what are the losses that you are currently sitting on. What's the price that you actually bought? Oh, 18.35. 18.35. Sorry, I missed that out. 18.35. Just under that $20. Right? Just under that $20 resistance you bought right there. Right? Probably you can find that there's a little bit of a support. There's a little bit of support right now, right around that $10 level, psychological $10 level. So from the $18 level right there, I think if we just use, $18 all the way down to the current level, sitting on about 37% downside. And obviously, you also see that currently there is a 1GT bearish signal. All right, 1GT bearish signal. I'm not too sure whether you actually bought it, earlier on in July, or actually, more recently. So I think if you have bought it more recently, I mean, usually when we see 1GT bearish signal, we don't really want to buy. We don't really want to buy, get in, or wait for it to stabilize like what Z have said. But no worries, actually now you have actually already gotten in. Actually, lucky you never tell me, say you want to go and pay. We've been very close to the $10 level. Time to buy again. No. I'm not advocating for that as well. We want to see what is that next support. If that next support can hold, all right, can the next support hold? Why? It is because 100 days moving average started to slope down already. This one cannot bluff ourselves on. Already started to slope down. The weakness has been present since about 1.5 months back, when that $20 support at that point had given way as well. So right now, if we see a breakdown of that $10 psychological level, that buyers not able to defend this level anymore, I think you need to be a little bit more careful. You could potentially see a further downside of another 40% from the current support level, the $10 support level, to that $6 support level. All right, so always have a plan. All right, Victor, I always have a plan. Not too sure how big is your position here as well. So if you are getting into stocks that move like this, right? Some of you are trading, or some of you guys like to trade stocks. They're a little bit more volatile. Fine, it's completely fine. More volatile, more reward, more risk as well. So always have a trading plan. Always have a trading plan. If prices break below $10, maybe you want to consider what we call a stop loss, right? A stop loss. Yes, I know that since your entry price is around 18.35, it is quite painful. It is surely quite painful that you have to cut loss under that $10 level. That would be, say, about 50% downside already. So your next trade or your next subsequent trade, you have to make 100% in order for you to make back that capital. All right. So I think as the trend weakens, you tend to not want to hold on to the counter as well, because in the nearer term, there's definitely this resistance right here, right? This resistance previously was a support. Rebounded very close to that 100 days moving average. Right there, about that $14 level. That would be the next ceiling that you're actually looking for. So if prices are able to break and hold above that $14 level, okay, you may see a 1 GT bullish signal. Let me just see that trading support right there. We see that trading support. Let me just delete this. That trading support, that trading resistance right around the $15 level. So a break above this level could see a new 1 GT bullish signal coming right in. So then you can project your next upside back towards that $20 level. But if this $14 level doesn't clear, you're pretty much still capped towards that level as well. Right. So I think right now you have to make a decision. Right now prices are at about 1148. Would you want to wait for a 30% up move? And if you are able to accept another 18% downside from your current levels to stop losses and to preserve capital. All right, so if prices break above $14, start to shift that stop limit order up already. Don't wait already. Start to shift that stop limit orders up to protect your remaining capital, or to preserve whatever capital you have left. And in case prices U-turn down again, at least your losses will not be too wide, and your losses should be, or your stop limit order should be placed just under that horizontal $14 psychological support as well. All right, so I think Victor, I think time to form a plan for quantum computing. Right now, the short-term weakness is still present. Longer-term weakness is starting to form up as well. So I think need to monitor closely, set up some alerts when prices hit towards $10. Okay, then if hit above $14, new alerts, new stop limit orders have to come in as well. Don't just leave it and then pray and then hope to God, fingers crossed, and then I hope the prices go up. No, the market doesn't really care about us. Okay, so I'll pass the time now to Z to cover the next stock.
Sure. But maybe before I cover the next stock, right, I'll just quickly go through the list of the stocks, because I realized we have not done a recap yet. So maybe some of you guys might have missed out, right? Some of the stocks that we have covered earlier, but not to worry, because after this live show and the replay will be available on YouTube for you to watch. But no worries, let me just go through very quickly what we have already covered, right? So maybe after this you can go and watch it on your own. Okay. So Joey just now, when we first started, he actually covered the S&P 500 index, right? And then the first stock that Joey actually did covered is Micron, MU. Bervin covered KTOS, right? KTOS. And then I covered the metal company, right? TMC, followed by going back to Joey to cover Meta, BXSL, which is Blackstone Fund, right? Blackstone Fund. And then there is PLTR, MSTR, MicroStrategy. The next one, the 8th stock, is actually Google, followed by SanDisk Corp, SNDK, and then followed by RTX, which is RTX Corporation. And then the 11th stock is Novo Nordisk, right? Novo Nordisk. NVO, and the 12th stock is CLV Clover Health. And the last one that Bervin just covered is QUBT, which is quantum computing. Right, so we have covered a total of 13 stocks so far, and before Joey left, he also reviewed his bonus stock for today, which is AVGO, right? But make sure to stay all the way to the end so that, you know, Bervin and myself, we can actually share with you our bonus stock for today as well, to see, you know, perhaps that's something that you can also consider to add it into your watch list. All right. So, but by the way, I think we have about 130 over people here still with us, right? So just in case, right, you guys don't know what indicator we are actually looking at, why we got this, you know, Bervin screen, you have this like buy and sell signal, right? Then actually what you can do is that, you know, Bervin will help me put the link in the chat, right? For you guys to actually test drive this 1GT light indicator, right? Of course, I mean, the 1GT light indicator is more of a simplified version. You can actually, with a click of a button, right, you can actually turn on and off the buy and the sell signals to give you a very, very quick opinion lah. Because of course, the one that we have here is the pro version, right? But do test drive the light, right? For free, right? For free, no additional cost, for free, to actually see whether, you know, how can it actually assist and help you in terms of your, you know, trading plan as well, and to see whether you can have a better opinion on the stocks. Okay, so all right, let me move on to the next stock that I have over here, and that would be SOFI Tech, right? SOFI Technology. So I think this would be the 14th stock that we have been covering today. SOFI Technology by Sebastian, right? You mentioned that you have bought this at $28. Please advise at what price should I sell? Okay, so let's take a look at SOFI Technology right now. Right, so SOFI Technology, I think it closed at 28.49. You mentioned that you bought at about 28. So I would assume that perhaps you have bought, you know, somewhere here like within this period lah, right? Within this period, at about 28. So I think you are still sitting on a bit of unrealized profits, right? Hopefully that it goes up beyond 28 lah, right? So the thing is, now you are thinking about where can you potentially sell, right? So when we think about selling, what do we want to know? Of course, we want to know about resistance, because that is where commonly people will sell at, right? And the resistance, very clearly, number one, it is around this $32 level right over here, right? This $32, I would say, will be one of the resistance, right? And this could be one of the zones that you can potentially look at to think about taking some profits, right? Take some profits, because this was where, you know, you see candlesticks like that, right, with long upper shadow, it just indicates and tell you that selling pressure is actually present lah. So I would say that $32, based on the number of times that is tested and also the candlestick itself, this is where you can potentially set some price alert, right, to let you know, and then to alert you and to go and take a look at the chart, and then that's where you can position yourself to actually take profits, right? But I'm not too sure if you are, you know, consider to think about like buying more, or think about adding positions, right? Maybe for some of you guys who are also looking at SOFI Technology as well. The thing is that for now, longer term trend definitely still looks okay. Short term trend, not that great, right? Not that great, because it is pointing down, and we have a 1GT bearish signal that is still in play, right? So short term trend, not so good lah, not so good, right? And here we can see that there is some sort of support, right? There's some sort of support at this 24 psychological level. Previously, it was actually a resistance, right? As you can see right over here, is a resistance. And also based on the candlestick, right, wow, this actually resistance was actually quite strong as well, because we see a very long upper shadow right over here, right? And eventually it broke above. We got multiple 1GT bullish signal coming out, and then prices continue to head up to test the $32 resistance, right? So right now we know that the support is at about 24, right? So potentially this 24 is where you can consider to think about, you know, adding position, but not say that, when price go back to 24, I faster add, right? No, because the other thing that we want to monitor, right, definitely, like I've mentioned multiple times, right, is the 20 days moving average. Because if prices were to move in this direction, right, I'm not sure, but then if prices were to, you know, go back to this direction like that, right, then this is where, you know, the 20 days moving average, right, potentially what we want to monitor for and watch out for is for it to stabilize, right? For it to stabilize and stop pointing down, and that's where we can potentially accumulate our positions, right? So you can actually set price alert here, yes, no problem. But when prices reach there, it doesn't mean that, when it reach there already, immediately I buy, right? Because at the end of the day, we want to take a look at the bigger picture. We want to make sure that we are aligned with the trend, okay? Then we think about taking action, all right? So For SOFI Tech right now, I think it still looks okay, but because just that we have a 1GT bearish signal that's coming out, right, it is okay to actually consider to take some profits lah for Sebastian situation, right, whereby I've already mentioned near the 32 psychological level. So remember to set some of your price alerts. All right. So that would be a very quick one for SOFI. Back over to you, Berwin, to actually cover the next stop.
All right, thanks Z. Okay, so SOFI Technologies. Let's see. Let me just add my screen there. Here we go. I think cannot not cover this stock lah. I think NVDA was one of the stocks that somebody I saw requested as well. Here we go, Genie. NVIDIA, I believe you mean NVIDIA lah, NIVA, all right? Currently at 180, could we potentially plan for an entry? All right, so I think right now for NVIDIA, I think still looking not too bad. I think Maureen is also asking, good entry, wanted to buy, but should we immediately buy right now? I mean, tonight, anyway, if you guys don't know, tonight market, US market will be open, but only half-day trading. Half-day trading. So based on, for you guys in Singapore, the market will close, the US market will close 2 a.m. All right, 2 a.m. Don't try to go and sell anything after 2 a.m. Maybe you cannot get through, the order may not get through. Okay, so here we go. So here is NVIDIA. NVIDIA right here we are currently just trading under the 200, sorry, that 185 resistance, which is under that $200 psychological resistance as well. So I think earnings came in rather, not too bad. So, but I think market weakness have generally pushed the stock down as well. So we're just currently trading under 185. You're right, that's very close to the 180 level. All right, so I think this would be a level that many people are watching. Some call the 180 as the support level. Some call the 185 as the resistance level right now. So I would say it is currently in a zone. All right, in a zone as well. So I think for now, we currently still seeing 20 days moving average pointing down, sloping down, still seeing weakness present in the nearer term. 1GT bearish signal actually still present, but longer term trend actually still looks rather good. It still looks quite good. Prices still holding above a very, very key 165 support level at this point. So I think right now I have some alerts being set up. So if you are thinking of using the 1GT light indicator, you want to give it a try, you can also set up what we call a technical alert. All right, technical buy or sell alert on the chart as well. So if there's any new 1GT bullish, bearish signals, you will be alerted. Right now, I think I'm waiting for a 1GT bullish signal to actually come in before taking any positions as well. I think a break above that 185 level is what many people are actually looking at as well. Why? It is because that would mean that the 20 days moving average would have flattened out and also point up. All right, flatten out and actually also point up, and that upside towards 200 could be resumed as well. I think so far for NVIDIA, longer term trend, I think longer term holders are still currently watching this counter, one of the biggest counter, across the board right now, right? So I think still looking quite good, but I think don't rush to get in just yet. Let the nearer term weakness play out for a little bit more. Let the prices stabilize. If there's a break above 185, 180, 185, not a lot of price difference, but then it could signal a reversal in the nearer term trend. So I think let's be okay to pay a little bit more of a premium, but we get a little bit more confirmation as well. All right, Maureen, that should be for NVIDIA. I think I'll pass the time. Okay, so wait, I just received a couple of messages on the site as well, asking me to cover some, asking us to cover some Singapore stock. So the Singapore stock, the AMAS will be for next week. All right, next week. But I think on the daily basis, Joey has been still been sending out. We will continue sending out, even though it's the holidays. Still continue to send out daily WhatsApp updates for Joey's clients in Philips Securities as well. So while we're on that topic, I just want to find out, How many of you guys have also received a WhatsApp broadcast, sorry, not WhatsApp broadcast, WhatsApp message regarding OCBC this morning? All right, well, OCBC this morning, sorry, not morning anymore. OCBC this afternoon as well. OCBC are in your WhatsApp for those of you who are Joey's clients. So if you are Joey's clients, maybe just type a C in the chat. So Z and myself can actually, acknowledge you guys, make sure that everything is also okay. You have been receiving the broadcast messages as well. All right, Victor. Okay, good. Okay, receive OCBC because I think some of you guys are asking me to cover OCBC as well. So I think just want to make sure that you guys already received an update. Yeah. So OCBC, I mean, there's a little bit of a move this morning. So good stuff right there. So if you guys want to receive like Kunaf right there, Victor right there, John right there, Catherine right there have been receiving daily WhatsApp messages, all right, regarding market, some trading ideas vetted by Joey, as well as some trading reports as well. All right, I think Z can have already actually very kindly put the link to opt in or to apply to be Joey's clients in Philip Securities. All right, great. All right, so for those of you who are clients but haven't been receiving it, if you guys didn't know, there's some slight changes in WhatsApp policy as well. So if you haven't been receiving it, just drop us a message. I believe you guys previously have been liaising with one of our broking team, right? Jia, Brian, Ian, Sam, just drop them a message and they will get you sorted right out as well. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so now Z, would you want to take us maybe through one or maybe two more US stocks before we cover our bonus stock?
I think maybe we can cover one stock. Then after that, we can go to our bonus stock because we got two bonus stocks to share with you guys today. Will that be okay?
Can.
Okay. So let me go and find the comments. The last stock maybe I'll cover today, right? That is requested by you guys would be by Farin, right? Asking about BBAI, right? Big Bear AI, right? Bought at high price can do average down. So, Farin, I don't know if you are still here or not, but if you are still here, maybe you can let me know like what high price you actually bought because I'm not too sure where you actually bought it because it could be near this year. If this year high, that would be probably around the $10, right? But if you tell me, a couple of years back, 2022, the high can go up to like about $16. So I'm not too sure where you actually bought it. But the thing is that the question that you're asking is can average down usually based on 1GT framework, and the mindset that we want to adopt is that if the stock is actually going down, we do not want to average down because like what Bhavin mentioned, you are throwing good money over bad money, and that's not what we want to do, right? We want to place more money into stocks that are going up rather than the opposite, right? So typically we don't think about averaging down, but rather you should already have a stop loss plan to actually get out, right? Farid, let me see. You mentioned that about $8. Okay. So about $8. Lucky you never tell me you buy at like what the $16 mark over here. Then you hold until now, right? Okay. So you mentioned you bought about $8. So now price is about $6 So I assume that maybe within this year this is where within this year you actually bought into this stock, right? So I mean, of course, $8. Unfortunately, now price is about $6. You are sitting on unrealized losses of about close to 25%, right? But the thing is that what is your trading plan, right? Because before you enter into any stock, you got to think about your trading plan, right? Your entry buy is very easy. You got money, anything also can buy, right? But you got to think about your exit, which is your target price, and also your stop loss price if prices were to reverse or dip even lower, where you want to get out and cut loss already, because we don't want to hold on to stocks that are weak and your unrealized losses get bigger and bigger just because you don't do anything. Even worse is stocks go down, you buy some more, you average down, and then basically throwing good money away. We don't want that, right? We don't want that. So right now, maybe what we can do, right, Farin, is we can take note, and also for yourself, right, you can actually take note of some of the support and the resistance zone for yourself to actually set some alert as well to take note of this level, right? So right now, based on this, we can see in terms of the trend. First thing, we always go back to the basic. Look at the trend first. To even think about whether should you even be buying or not, right? So what is the trend telling us, right? If I were to zoom in right over here, short-term trend, definitely not so good, right? 20 days moving average green line, pointing down. Red line, if you ask me a couple of months back, it was actually not too bad one, right? The red and the blue line is actually both pointing up. But what we are seeing over the past month or so, it has started to taper and showing signs of it turning down already. Can you see this red one is starting to slope downwards? In fact, even the blue one has started to go sideways and have started to show very early signs of it pointing down as well. So in terms of the trend, definitely, if you were to ask me at this point in time, it doesn't look that healthy, right? It doesn't look that healthy. And usually when it is in this situation, we don't want to think about buying, right? We got to change our mindset, right? We only want to think about buying when the stock is good and the uptrend is firm, not when it's in a downtrend, right? And another confirmation, right, to let you know that maybe we should not think about buying is because we also got a 1 GT bearish signal right over here that is actually still playing out. Do we see a 1 GT bullish signal? No, not yet, right? Not yet. So now we know that, the trend not so good. We got 1 GT bearish signal. Okay, then we take a look at where the support and the resistance level that maybe you should take note of, right? In terms of the price. If price have broken a certain level, that's where you want to think about exiting, right? Cutting loss. If price reach a certain level, the resistance, that's where we want to think about maybe take profits, right? Take profits. Especially if the trend not so good, take profits first, then maybe redeploy the funds into somewhere else that is good, right? So based on this, we can see that around the $9, maybe $9 to $10, I wouldn't say specifically at $10 because around this $9, this is where you also see some sort of resistance, some sort of selling pressure happening back, in July right over here, and also in October, right? So and in February early of this year, it was about $10, right? So I would say actually the resistance zone, I would think that perhaps it could be around this $9 to about this $10, because usually we don't talk about it as a specific point, but rather a zone, right? So I would think that these $9 to $10, this would be a resistance zone that perhaps you can set price alert, maybe multiple price, right? Maybe at $9.15, $9.20, or even like close to $9 at $8.90. Set multiple price alert to alert you if prices were to rebound back to those levels right over here. Okay for you to actually take profits. Nothing wrong to actually take profits, in fact, right? So this would be, considered as part of your, target, right? Your part of your trading plan, your target. And then, of course, target is one thing. You need to manage your downside, right? So downside is another thing whereby we want to take reference to regarding the support level, right? So based on this, let me remove this, all right? So based on this support level, where are we looking at in terms of support? I think somewhere around this $4 to about $4.50, this would be one of the support level, right? Based on the price action previously, we see that from May to July, this period was tested as a resistance, right? Somewhere in September, middle of September, tested again as a support level now, right? So I would place more weight to this because if a level is being tested multiple times as a resistance previously and now as a support, you want to give it a bit more weight, right? So this would be a support level that perhaps you might want to take note of, right? Because if prices were to continue to weaken, right, and it continue to actually head down and break below this 460, this 450 to 460, this level right over here, right? Then that's where you got to think about, your stop loss plan. Where would you want to potentially get out, right? You can actually, perhaps have a stop loss plan in place, a couple of percentage, 2 to 5%, slightly below the support level expansion, to think about cutting losses and think about getting out as well. Because by then, if prices really break below this 450, 460, do you think that the 20 days moving average will point up? No lah, you'll probably continue to point down. The green one will probably continue to point down. Then what about the red one? The red one will also continue to perhaps slope down like that, right? And maybe even the blue one, it will also be more obvious that it is sloping down as well, right? So then that is where potentially we might see a downtrend reversal in play already, and we don't want to continue holding to a stock, and especially don't want to think about averaging down as well. Okay, so Farine, I hope that helps. I hope that's helped in terms of giving you some perspective of what to actually do for BBAI, and also some of the levels for you to actually take note, and also perhaps to think to adopt maybe a new mindset, right, whereby we only want to think about averaging up or buying into stocks that are strong rather than averaging down into stocks that perhaps the trend is not so clear or maybe a bit weak. Okay, so that would be for the last stock, BBAI by Farine, right? So maybe now we can move on to the bonus stock, and I'll let Bervin share his first bonus stock for today.
All right, okay. Let's move on to the bonus stock. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm still seeing the chat. There is still some stocks that we haven't managed to cover. There's really too many lah. There's really 30, 40 of it. right here. I think I'm not able to cover everything or all the stocks that you guys request, but I mean, do join us. I mean, next week is the Singapore AMES, then we'll come back for the US one in the following week. So I mean, just do come back and join us then, and we will try to cover, right? We'll try to cover your stocks then. But right now, let's move on to the bonus stock for today. My bonus stock first, then after that Z will cover her bonus stock. My bonus stock for today, I think, is a little bit more different. All right, I mean, the previous weeks I've covered, some GE Aerospace, things like that. But I think this week I also want to be a little bit more in the different space. Heavy machinery. This week, heavy machinery, Caterpillar. Caterpillar will be my bonus stock for this week. I think the recent earnings coming out was fantastic, showing fantastic growth. Caterpillar stretching into even the AI space as well. They are starting to stretch into that. Obviously, the market is receiving that quite well. We see a gap up. And most recently in this year, we see the longer term trend starting to form up. We are in a new phase for what I like to call a dinosaur counter like this. We are starting to enter into a new phase as well. Previously, it was pretty much just kept under the $450 level, which was quite a new high, or was a high at that point of time where I think sellers actually came in, seeing the prices pushing to a new high, starting to come in to take some profits. But that $400 support held up. It held up very well. In fact, consolidated a few days, tried to push up higher, and then here we go. We actually see a bullish crossover for the longer term trend, the 100 days, 200 days moving average starting to cross over each other. And here we have a 1 GT bullish signal flashing right there on the 18th of September, and boom, here we go. Prices started to push higher, leading into earnings. We achieved a high of very, very close to that $600 psychological level. Right, a little bit of consolidation coming in. Right, it looks very similar to what had happened, sometime in July as well. Right, could be entering a phase of consolidation right now between 550, some people call it 540 to about that 600 level, that 20 days moving average, sloping up, suddenly pointing down a little bit, but look at it right there. The candlestick on Tuesday, right? Very, very bullish candlestick. I mean, it could be a foreshadowing of buyers still taking control, or buyers still being in control for this counter. Yes, 20 days moving average looking like it's pointing down, but if prices continue to hit towards that $600 level, yes, I think definitely that 20 days moving average will start to slope back up again, flatten out, slope back up. So you could potentially position yourself for an entry. I would say two areas of entry. Firstly, between that 540 to about that 550 level. 540 to that 550 level. That is the first level that you may potentially position for yourself for an entry. Set some alerts right there. I think it's a good level to watch out for. Secondly, if you want to wait for a further confirmation of that trend as well, a break above that 600 level. So maybe you can set up some alerts, 601, 602, 603 for that potential confirmation that yes, we are breaking into a new phase of that uptrend. And where would that upside be towards? Right, just doing a little bit of a projection right here, because prices will be in a new high towards that 650 to 660 level. I think that would be the next resistance or next target level you can actually watch out for as well. And if there's another new 1 GT bullish signal, this is just one GT bullish signal. If we have a meaningful consolidation within this range, that 540 to the 600 level, we can potentially see another 1 GT bullish signal showing up as well. All right, so if you have gotten into position, you would have realized that that trailing support right now is at about that 520 level. All right, but if prices continue to hit higher, break above the 600 level, definitely this trailing support will start to head higher as well. All right, so if you are looking to protect some profit subsequently, hey, that is where you can place your stop limits order under, again I say under the trailing support, just to ride that uptrend while preserving profits. Okay, so I think Caterpillar still looking good, or currently looking quite good. Not really an entry position just yet, but if you're looking for something for a longer term holding, a longer term uptrend forming, this could be potentially one that you can really add to your watch list this season as well. All right, so that is my bonus stock, Caterpillar Incorporated. I'll pass the time now to Z to cover the last bonus stock for today. Z, please.
All right, thank you, Bervin. Okay, so the last stock that I would like to share with you guys, right, for today, that will be none other than Well Tower. For those of you who have been joining us for the past session, right? So Well Tower is actually one of the bonus stock that I've shared a couple of times prior already. And the thing is that sometimes when the stock is still good, uptrend is still good, we want to keep to the same one lah, because it's still good, then why you need to want to change to something else, right? You can continue to maximize and ride out the trend, right? Well Tower, first thing, of course, when you look at it, usually always the bonus stock that we share with you guys, most of them, in fact, all of them definitely will always be in an uptrend, because that is the mindset and that is the framework that we want to adopt to buy into a stock that's in an uptrend, right? But of course, sometimes when you do that, some people will think that, hey, 1 month ago is at this price, now is at $10 more. Wow, it's so much more expensive, right? But the thing is that if the stock is still good, it's okay to buy a bit at a more of a premium price lah, because the thing is that there will always be support and resistance level, right, that you can actually spot, and those are the areas that you can actually potentially position yourself for entry, despite the price is a bit higher a couple of months back, right? You see, for example, like Well Tower, right? Maybe when we look back 4 to 5 months back, somewhere in August, September, price was only 160. Now price is closed at 206. So much more expensive, right? So, but you can see that the price continue to go up, right? Maybe 5 months ago, people were saying, hey, the price so expensive at 165. Yeah, maybe this is where you'll be the high rate. I don't want to buy already. But look at it, where has it gone now, right? So good stock can continue to head up, right? It's just that we need to take note of where potentially we want to position ourselves for entry, and that would be near support zone, right? Near the support zone. So for Well Tower, right, definitely trend, I don't have to talk about it. All of you can clearly see the trend is still intact, right? And it's a very beautiful uptrend, right, with the moving averages all heading up. And now for this, we got not one but two, right? Two consecutive 1GT bullish signal that is also still playing out, right? And you can see that some of these levels that previously we have already drawn, right, when we were discussing these stocks a couple of sessions back as well, you can see that prices consistently has been forming what we call higher support level. So it breaks resistance consistently, and then those resistance, right, turn to what we call a new higher support. So that is actually a very positive thing for stock, because it means that buyers are actually willing to buy at higher prices, right? And then when you get new higher support level, right, that is where we can potentially position ourselves for entry. So for example, right over here, you see 190 previously very clearly was a resistance, right? And we got this very red bearish candlestick right over here, and probably it is due to, I think the earnings, right? The earnings came out, the market absorbed the news. Wow, we got a sell down, profit taking actually happened, right? But subsequently, if buyers come back in very quickly to push the price back up to retest the 190 one more time right over here, right? And eventually it managed to break above it, hold above 190, tested for a couple of days, right? And this could be one of the zones that you could look at, right, to position yourself for entry, because this is a new higher support level that's being found, right? And you want to buy near a support zone, right? And resistance wise, previously was $200, right? $200 was a resistance. And based on this, you can see that we have already drawn a sell zone over here, right? So if you've gotten in somewhere here, you have gotten in somewhere around 200, it's also okay, right? That is also about, let's see, about 5% profits, right? About 5% profits. Not too bad, right? Not too bad. And based on this resistance zone that we are seeing, we are also seeing candlesticks whereby just now what I mentioned, it is the long upper shadow, right over here, the $200, which is also a psychological level to note, right? So $200 not surprising to see selling pressure return, right? And the candlestick actually gave us that confirmation that sellers are really indeed there to push the prices down. So right over here, the next couple of days, wow, price actually continue to push up, because for myself, I was also expecting, because based on this candlestick, right, perhaps we can have some sort of consolidation before it even break out above the 200, right? Wow, but actually it broke out even faster than I expected as well, right? So right now price is at 206. So 200 previously was a resistance. Now it turned to become what we call a new higher support, right? So based on the same framework or the strategy that we have just mentioned, we want to buy near a support, right? So where would your new support be? That would be at this 200, right? Because 200 become your new higher support. So, but now the thing that price have already gone up so much, right? Then of course there will be people that come and ask, oh, the price go up so much already. Is it still is so high to actually get in now? I do agree that yes, it is high, right? But we don't want to buy anyhow buy, right? Because right now is, if let's say the market open today, will you want to get in now? Maybe not immediately, right? Because we want to position ourselves for entry near the support. So this is where, like you can see right over here, I already set my price alert, right? Probably somewhere around 201. Maybe you can set 202. These are the levels within the support zone that you want to set some price alert to alert yourself, right? If prices were to retrace back to this level, then this is where you can potentially accumulate some position. But of course, I think for this uptrend to be sustainable, what I'm looking out for as well, right, definitely would be for some sort of consolidation to happen, because as you guys can see, right, from this very first 1GT bearish signal, I mean, here there's a couple of days of consolidation, right, maybe about only 4 days or so, but I'll expect to see a bit more consolidation, maybe 1 to 2 weeks, or maybe even 1 month, right, to make the uptrend even more sustainable. Because if that's the case, right, then potentially if price were to break the 210 right over here, then we can see more potential upside or more leg for this particular stock. Because at this point in time, yes, I would agree that, it has already gone up pretty fast and pretty much like in a couple of weeks, right, and it's just going up straight, right, in this manner. So I think it will be good to see some consolidation happening first before, we can actually see more upside to this, right? So of course, in terms of target wise, not forgetting, near the 210, this is where, potentially it could be a sell zone for you guys as well to consider. Okay, so that would be Well Tower. Definitely it will still remain in my watch list for now. But like what I've mentioned, monitor for a potential consolidation to make it even more sustainable for the uptrend. All right, so that would be it for today, I believe. I think we have come to the end of our Ask Me Any Stock session today. So I think we have about 90 over people here today, right? So just wanted to thank you guys for all of your time to stay with us all the way to the end, right? So if you guys gotten some value, please let us know in the chat as well, right? Just so that we know that, today we have done not too bad, right? So other than that, I think next week we will be having our Ask Me Any Stock in Singapore market. So do come and join us again. And I think, is there a question? Oh yeah, okay. There's a question here, right? There's a question here before we close off today's session, right? By Aurat, right? Aurat is asking, when using the 1GT to buy US stock, is it to buy in Phillip Capital platform? So actually, this trading view, the indicator that you are seeing, right, is actually on trading view. It's not on Phillip Securities, right? It's not on Phillip Capital platform. But for Joey and our team, we are reminders under Phillip Security, right? So of course, if you'd like to support us and Joey as well, you can also open an account, under Joey, as part of a client, right? And you get to also, on top of that, you get to receive a lot of top trading ideas by Joey daily as well. So that's something for you to actually consider, especially so if currently you're trading elsewhere and you don't really have any service being provided to you or don't have any broker support, right, to you, then that's what you can actually consider as well. But back to your question regarding the indicator, this is actually on TradingView. So it's not on Phillip Capital. All right. Okay. So did I miss out any question? Let me see.
No, I think we pretty much covered everybody. All right. So I mean, just like to acknowledge you all. Thanks, Ivan. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks, Catherine, for joining us today. Victor, thanks for joining us today. Manfred, thank you for joining us. Dave, thanks for joining us. All right. Amy, thanks for joining us as well. All right. Have a great weekend ahead, everybody. I mean, if you guys need to know, FOMC is on the 9th to 10th December. If there's a rate cut, it should be penciled in on the 10th. So 11 morning for us, we should already know by then. All right, so today US market, like I said, half day trading. Next week, normal trading. All right, so for those of you who have been those of you who are celebrating Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving to you guys. Those of you who are traveling, enjoying the holidays, safe travels. All right, so we will see you guys next week then for our Singapore AMAS session. All right, bye guys.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.